Tonight's episode of the Tuesday Night Cigar Club is brought to you by Drew Estate. Come experience the rebirth of cigars at www.drewestate.com and download the free Drew Diplomat smartphone app today to discover nearby retailers, RSVP to special events, redeem points to win exclusive Drew Estate merchandise, and much, much more.
Mistake, but I'm having too much fun to wait. Flag her down when she comes back by. That one's yours and this one's mine. Bring another round. 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 Bring another round.
Here's the Suckles.
Good evening, brothers and sisters of the Leaf. Coming to you live once again from, well, all over the fucking place. It's the Tuesday Night Cigar Club. Tonight the boys congregate via live video, thanks coronavirus, you giant asshole, to complete their 6th annual March to Halloween horrific drinking spooktacular extravaganza, or some crazy shit like that. Anywho, our favorite crew of tipsy numbnuts will be discussing the 1988 slimy creature feature, Slugs, while smoking the Tatuaje Black cigar, paired with a ghastly amount of tasty craft beers. Slugs, mugs, and jugs. Sounds like this episode has it all. Well, except technically for the jugs, damn it. So sit back, folks, light 'em up, and enjoy the show.
You ready to talk for a couple hours?
Yeah, let's do this, man.
Laugh for a couple hours. Maybe learn a little bit about ourselves over the next couple hours.
That sounds good. Yeah, I got a 6-pack, 2 cigars, and a Coronita. I think I'm good for the next 30 minutes.
I'll talk fast. Well, boys, before we get started, 2 kind of big things have happened in the last few days that kind of tie together in a weird way. I thought might be fun to talk about, or maybe not fun. There's nothing fun about what I'm about to talk about, but it's important. Because what do we do on the Tuesday Night Cigar Club? We call people out on their bullshit.
That's right. That's exactly what I signed on for. Not.
Yeah.
Well, we're here to review delicious cigars, but okay, calling people out on their bullshit.
This involves cigars.
But wait a minute. If I call people out on their bullshit, do they get to call me out on my bullshit? Or does my internet celebrity give me immunity?
Podcaster immunity.
Podcaster immunity. I like this.
All right. Well, the Los Angeles Lakers just won the 2020 NBA championship. Mm-hmm. Congrats. And 2, guitar god Eddie Van Halen sadly passed away, all within a few days of each other. What do these 2 events have in common, you may ask? Well, they both brought out that pathetic, terrible creature known as the social media troll, that little guy. Okay. You see, LeBron James lit up a Drew Estate Undercrown Shade cigar after the game to celebrate the victory. I'm going to be smoking one for my follow-up cigar this evening. I love that cigar. And Drew Estate, rightfully, of course, obviously shared pics and videos of LeBron puffing away on all their social media channels.
Uh-oh.
That's a huge thing for a cigar company to, after the Super Bowl or a hockey championship or, NBA finals to show possibly the biggest athlete in the world smoking your cigar. I mean, that's huge. I was really happy for JD and all of our friends, Joe, Pedro, everybody at DE. It's just awesome exposure. I was like really feeling good about everything. But then I made the mistake of looking at the comments on the Drew Estate posts. And sure enough, every other one was from a fucking dickbag calling LeBron a piece of shit, worthless human. This classic one, I didn't even know the NBA was still around. And it's all because LeBron, it's all about LeBron voiced his opinion politically, and their fat ass cult leader instructed them not to like LeBron anymore, not to like the NBA anymore. And, you know, they did what they were told. And that's how that happened. And we're the sheep. I don't like it when they bring politics into my sports. Well, guess what, you sad fucking melonhead? You just brought politics into an innocent post where a cigar company you're supposedly a fan of was sharing and celebrating a really cool moment that they were proud of, and they should be. I just am exhausted by it all, boys. And I just, the whole flip on your phone, turn on your computer, and just, excuse me while I take a big old fat shit on everybody's good times, because that's what I do. And there's like so many of these dudes that do that every day. It's like they live to take a shit on people's good times.
Well, the funny thing is like, especially in cigar culture, I mean, nobody had a problem when Rush Limbaugh was talking about how good the Padron cigars were. I didn't hear anybody going, you bringing your politics into my cigar world. That didn't happen. So, I mean, just shut up.
It was just so disappointing, but not unexpected, I guess.
Dixie Chicks, get your politics out of my music. By the way, Toby Keith, I love you. Alan Jackson, I know where I was.
I hear the Dixie Chicks are big fans of the Sweet Jane series of cigars. So,
I am actually having a Sweet Jane Coronita.
And they're called the Chicks now. They dropped the Dixie, which I'm sure would piss these asswipes off royally.
Stop rewriting history, Dixie Chicks.
My great-grandfather didn't form the Dixie Chicks for you to come on. What? I swear, living brain donors, all of them. Speaking of which, then the next day, someone tweeted 79-year-old music legend David Crosby of Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young, what he thought of Eddie Van Halen upon Eddie Van Halen's passing. He tweeted, "What do you think of Eddie Van Halen?" To which Crosby, who actually ironically looks like a troll, replied, "Meh, MEH ... Meh." People gave the asshole shit about that tweet, as they should, I guess, and he responded with this: "Look, Hendrix changed the world of guitar," the grumpy old troll wrote. "Look, I get it. Many of you love Van Halen, and the one time I met him, he was nice, and he was talented. Meh, to me, means I don't care that much, and I don't. It doesn't mean he wasn't good. He was, but not for me." How's this for you, Dave? Go fuck yourself. And why don't you crawl back under that bridge in the forest and maybe just stop tweeting, you ridiculous fossil? What does all this mean, boys? I think it means I'm done with social media. I think I'm getting to the point where I'm done. I'll still put the show stuff out there, but I think I'm closing it down. I just can't do it anymore. And it just baffles my mind that something like Facebook, that was created to spy on old high school classmates to make fun of their lives, has turned into this massive shit show that absorbs everyone's personal energy and then shits it all back out in their face 24/7. It never stops.
That's called high school. This is AI evolving into what high school is.
Like I said.
I'm sorry. I was the only one who had my innermost thoughts laughed at and regurgitated back in my face. Oh, okay. Maybe that was just...
That was... maybe we'll talk about that after the show, if you want. Or we could just not talk about that ever.
I would like to not talk about that.
I'll pretend like I didn't hear it. Yax, you didn't hear anything, did you?
No.
Okay. I just like, I don't need to know what some dude from my college bowling class thinks of Nancy Pelosi's hairdressers, Ukrainian ties. Like, I don't need to know what these people think about shit like this. I got into it with such innocent aspirations, and it's just, I mean, you know, fucking You know what? That's what broke me. David fucking Crosby.
David Crosby broke a lot of people.
That fucking troll ruined social media for me. You happy?
Which, by the way, I don't mind his comments if he would have just said that.
Well, he got so much shit after that. He was like, "Oh, I'd forgotten he had died when I wrote that." It was like it's like the couple days after.
No, I mean, no. Stick by your guns.
Someone probably prefaced their question like, "Eddie Van Halen has just passed. Did you think about anything about him?" Like, I mean,
yeah, I'm sure he gets tweets all the time.
Also, asking geriatric musicians their opinion, because let's face it, you reach a certain age, you just don't give a flying fuck anymore. And
no.
I'm actually fine with what he said. I just wish he would have said that the first time instead of meh.
Yeah.
Yes, but you see, the man was honest.
Man was honest. And honestly,
I'm more of a fan of as the people have said, the internet has allowed us, people to say things without getting punched in the face.
Well, who's going to punch David Crosby in the face?
I'm just saying that the internet was a lot more fun and it was just me and my geeks hanging out at it. When you guys showed up, it just all went downhill. And
I will say for the record, I would very much take meh over most of the comments we get on YouTube. I would take meh as a encouraging term of endearment.
I'm just saying the weight comment kind of hurt my feelings.
That guy was an asshole. That pumpkin T-shirt's not going to help your cause tonight, Eddie. I love that shirt. It's it's the Halloween special now. So anyway, I just had to get that off my chest. It was like something I was really happy for our friends at Drew Estate, and those fucking morons had to ruin that. And then, I'm here trying to put together we're filling the boot of remembrance tonight for Eddie Van Halen, and fucking David Crosby takes a big troll shit on that. It's like, God damn it. Are troll shits good luck? Like, if I go in the woods and scoop that up from him, can I make a wish on it or something?
Man, I think from woodland trolls they are, but maybe not bridge trolls. So it depends on what his descendancy is.
Yax, if you have time, will you look into that for me?
I don't have time.
Damn it. UGH, boys. Ugh. I don't say MEH. I say UGH. Not meh. Ugh. So welcome, everybody, on that note, to the Tuesday Night Cigar Club, episode 125. I had to purge that out of my system. And now we're going to
say it's nothing like starting a fun party show with just a bunch of bullshit bitching.
Now we're going to party.
I've been waiting for this.
Now that I have made it clear to those certain assholes out there that they're not welcome in our party.
Now that you've expressed your feelings socially about social media.
Yeah. See what I did there?
As you used your media platform to express your feelings on social media that you'll post on social media.
Yeah. Joke's on them. Maybe. Episode 125.
All right.
Yes.
Let's do this.
Tonight, homies, we continue our infamous 6th annual March to Halloween horrific drinking spooktacular extravaganza.
Woo.
Or some shit like that. This might be we might have one more Halloween, we might not. I don't know. But I'm glad Tut wore the shirt just in case.
I wore it just in case, and if we have another one, I'll put it back on.
Hey, you can wash it. I wore a Halloween shirt too.
I saw that.
Did you wear a Halloween shirt? Yak boy?
No.
He's not in the spirit.
I'm lame like that.
He's not in the spirit.
I'll forget about this little incident, and I won't write you up if you do that homework assignment on troll shit.
Fine.
We are going to treat you to a terror-filled smorgasbord of carefully selected horror films, leading you right up until the big day, October 31st. Are you guys ready to get your spookies on?
Oh, my undershorts are always spooky. Yes, let's put my spookies on.
Tut, Yak boy, everything going okay in your neck of the woods?
Yes, it is.
O'Brien's Irish Pub in downtown Temple, Texas is open for business?
open for business.
Beer is flowing.
Beer is flowing.
The
Slowly
corn-
but flowing. Hey, we're making progress. We're seeing, I'm not saying that everything's obviously returned to normal because it hasn't, but hey, we're here and we're not going anywhere.
How those corned beef sandwiches tasting?
Delicious.
Get your ass down there, folks. Get a
Corniest
corned beef.
beef you'll ever have.
It is the corniest beef. Okay, tell you look like you're doing better. You got a haircut finally.
Yeah, I guess.
I saw a picture of him after his haircut. His wife posted, and I asked him. I was like, "You didn't really look like you did it. You got it cut." He's like, "Oh, I got the volume trim, not the ends." And I was like, "What the fuck does that mean?"
Not the length, man. Just she used the scissors with the comb teeth or whatever.
Oh, just the texture scissors?
I guess. I don't know.
You made it sound like they cut the middle of the hair, and somehow it's still.
Yeah, they cut a lot of the fluff out of it, but not the length. Because I'm going for the Lincoln Lawyer Matthew McConaughey look.
Okay.
I wanted to chop it all off, and then she was like, "Well, you know what you could do? You could look like, you could do the Lincoln Lawyer style." And she did not realize my bromance with Mr. McConaughey. And I was like, "Oh, you can make me look like Matthew McConaughey?" And she was like, "No, I didn't say that." And I was like, "Yes, you did. You said you'd cut my hair and make me look like Matthew McConaughey." So
he's like, "Sir, this is good clips. You're paying $12. I can only do so much here." Well, hey, you went out there and you got a haircut. We're proud of you. This is a big step for you. It's a big step for you.
Yeah. Other than that, it's just calculus and more calculus.
Lots of calculus. Well, before we do what we do every episode where we drink some beers, smoke a cigar, and talk our way through a movie that is an unpleasant bit of business, like I alluded to earlier. I haven't had to do this for a while. Thank God. Shut up, liver. We're filling the boot tonight, boys.
Oh, I forgot about this.
As you loyal viewers and listeners know, if you're watching on YouTube, you can see me holding up the little guy. It's actually not little. It seems to get bigger every time. The Boot of Remembrance is a ceremony where we fill the glass boot to commemorate a pop culture icon, at least an icon to us, someone from the world of film, television, stage, screen, music that passes away that had what we feel is a lasting effect on us and our lives. And as I said, Eddie Van Halen passed away, and I'm going to turn it over to Yak Boy to tell us a little bit about the life of Edward Van Halen.
All righty. The good Mr. Van Halen, born Edward. Now, I'm not sure if I can pronounce this correctly. Van Halen, Edward Ludwig Van Halen. He was Dutch born. Well, it's not actually it's supposed to be like Ludwig, but it's the Dutch Ludwig. However, I looked up the pronunciation.
I've heard it both ways.
But he was born January 26, 1955 in Amsterdam. Good Dutch boy. Immigrated. His family came here. His parents, Jan and Eugenia Van Halen, and his younger brother Alex. They all came here. And from there, surprisingly, the two younger brothers ended up being very musically inclined. And from there, they just kind of, took up music. They played a little bit of everything. Piano, besides him, Eddie eventually doing guitar. He played drums, horns, everything. So, but going on from there, they had played. Him and his brother started their own band when they were kids, playing back in high school and things like that for friends and everything else, and went on eventually to form an actual band and start playing back in '72. Touring there because they were living in California, so they got to, and they ended up playing all the classic venues, Whiskey A Go Go. And so they went on to do, and eventually they got noticed, and in 76 they got signed by a talent agent and put out their first album in 78, which we all know, of course, it being iconic.
Van Halen 1.
Van Halen 1. And from there, surprisingly, given their body of work, I mean, between there and 78 and 84, I mean, put out, 5 albums. Even in 84, of course, was their most well-known and sold multi-platinum album.
Yeah, I mean, 1984, I guess their last one was David Lee Roth. They had Jump, Panama, Hot for Teacher. Yeah, that was by far their biggest with
Drop Dead Legs.
Dead Legs.
I think that was the B-side to Jump.
Yeah, I think the biggest compliment I can give Eddie Van Halen is that if you go back, I was a big growing up. I really liked those first 4 Van Halen albums a lot, leading up to 1984. And if you go back and listen to those early Van Halen albums, especially, and not exclusively the David Lee Roth records, some of the most underrated tracks, or even tracks you never heard of on those first 4 CDs, could be the best rock songs that some other band ever recorded. Like, there's some just phenomenal music that people that aren't even really that aware of, that any other band would have done that. It could have been a hit. He was just that prolific of a songwriter, that much of a, like Yak said, a musical prodigy, a true wonderkind who just kind of kept attacking everything you hear. He kept attacking his craft even up until the end. Like, he would just practice and tinker, and he just kept going until he was inarguably the best to play the instrument since Hendrix. I don't think anybody can argue that. Get out of here with that fucking Stevie Ray Vaughan nonsense. Yeah, I didn't realize that sometimes you don't till someone dies. I've been listening to the Sirius Radio. I saw that, Tut. I've been listening to Sirius Radio's had a Van Halen station since he passed away, 24/7 nonstop Van Halen, and oh man, just so many songs that I hadn't heard in so long, and they hold up, man. And the production on those early albums is just so good. Alex's drums just complement the hell out of his brother's guitar, and my God, man, they just had a mountain of great music. And I wasn't a huge fan of the more synth-heavy Sammy Hagar stuff, but my God, they had a ton of, really successful tours, successful albums, and good songs. They did some great stuff with Sammy too, man. It was just, my God, what a body of work. So I'm definitely on. I didn't have to hesitate for filling the boot up for Eddie Van Halen. Yes, Tut. I saw you give me the middle finger there a minute ago.
Well, yeah, I mean, your blatant disrespect for Stevie Ray Vaughan. I'm not saying Stevie Ray Vaughan was Eddie Van Halen, but Vaughan was a great talent.
I didn't say he was.
But back to Eddie. Yeah, I'm going to go a little bit controversy here. I think that Van Halen, the project, is a great exercise in what happens when ego trumps artistry, when ego trumps just getting out of your way and creating good music. I think that the world has been robbed because of ego. I think that regardless of whether it was Eddie's ego or David's ego, the breakup of that project, I think robbed us of great rock and roll. But it's hard to say that because even though especially growing up, I was on Team David so hard that I would just turn my back on anything Sammy Hagar put together. And that was really wrong because they put out together some really, really strong music and some really good music. But then when they broke up, and I'm just like, dude, you kind of stunted rock music there after that. They were such a big, I mean, they were such a big mover in the industry where you had Van Halen and you had U2 and Chili Peppers. And it was like, and at that time we were battling all the boy bands, you know, your NSYNCs, and that was just, they were putting out rock. And then all of a sudden they're like, you know, we don't like you anymore. We're going to fire you. And rock just kind of died.
Well, it was one of the things though, because when grunge kind of killed the hair metal scene, Van Halen was never that scene. Van Halen was.
I know they kept going strong.
They survived through that because they weren't a hair band. They were just a god awesome rock band. And then you're right. And the Doctor, I should mention, our fourth member, the Doctor, just posted a book review up on our website. It's called Running with the Devil. It's written by Van Halen's tour manager for the David Lee Roth years. He loved the book, but go to our website and read the Doctor's review. But one of the things the Doctor pointed out, as far as your comment on egos, and then how they take fun things away from us, from creative things. Like, oh man, I really like that guy's movies. Well, he's not making them anymore. Oh, they make this such good music. Well, they're not. They say they won't do that anymore. The Doctor put it in really good ways, like to try to wrap your head around the decisions these guys were making. Yes, ego played a big part of it, but as mere mortals, we cannot put ourselves in that vortex that these guys lived their lives in, and it's impossible for guys like you to try to pass judgment on these dudes, because we can't possibly know what it's like to live in their tornado of everything, and it's a constant tornado. And yeah, I mean, these people just live differently, and they can start out as normal as you and Cody. Trust me, I used to be one of you guys. I think I've kind of kept it together pretty good. Yeah. But no, he was just like, you know what? It's just, what the book painted the picture of was just these guys who, by the time this guy quit being their tour manager in 1984, this was the biggest thing in the world when they rolled into a town. And it's like, you can't possibly rent space in these guys' heads to see what was going on. I mean,
bullshit. It's like the rich guy going, you know what? Money doesn't buy you happiness. You don't know the pressures that it has being filthy, stinking rich. I mean, the upkeep and maintenance on my $200 million yacht alone. Do you know what the pressure that comes with having to staff 15 people on an annual basis for my yacht?
But that guy's not walking onto stage and having 75,000 people chanting his name. That's different. That is different.
And I don't know.
And then there's a phenomenon. It doesn't matter how successful you are. If you are successful for any amount of time, that level of success becomes normal to you. You expect it.
Full disclosure, I was a raging asshole when I was on stage. So anyway.
You were the raging asshole keyboard player everybody talked about.
Exactly.
Well, look, despite, how things ended with Diamond Dave and how things ended with Sammy and how things ended with the Extreme guy, and how things ended with Michael Anthony, despite all that stuff, it's been cool to see since Eddie passed away that apparently he would reach out. He would get the phone numbers for guitar players in up-and-coming bands. And Eddie worked on his own timetable. He was a night owl. He'd be up all night. And all these people were telling these stories about how at 2 a.m. they'd get this phone call from out in Hollywood, and they wouldn't answer because they didn't recognize the number. And there'd be this voicemail from Eddie Van Halen saying he had heard their music or saw them. He'd go to like live shows and he'd be like, I saw you play. And he'd like give them tips. Like, you know what? I think, and then they'd think it was bullshit. They thought it would be a prank. And then their manager would the next day be like, no, they actually got a hold of me to get your number. And then they would start these phone relationships. He had phone relationships with all these dudes not famous dudes, but kind of B-level bands. But he loved talking about the craft of guitar playing, and he loved kind of giving advice to people. And by all accounts, he was a kind of a cool mentor that way. By all accounts, he seems like he was a really cool dad to Wolfgang Van Halen, his only son. And dude, he gave me enough music over the years that I certainly will chug this boot to the best of my abilities. Before I do, are you done, Tut? Did you get that off your chest?
Yeah, I think so.
I'm starting to get the idea that Tut doesn't want to tribute to Eddie Van Halen. Do you like Eddie Van Halen?
I don't know him, so I've heard conflicting things.
You don't know anybody that we've drank the boot, celebrated with the boot of remembrance.
I knew Little Richard, damn it. I played a show with him.
That's right. He snuck up behind you at that club. I forgot about that.
That's right. He put his hand on my anyway. No, Eddie was just a one-of-a-kind talent, and regardless of even if the dark rumors that I heard, which there was plenty of good stuff and bad stuff, but even if the worst of the worst were true, I would still drink the boot to him because he was a one-of-a-kind talent, a generational talent, maybe even a multi-generational talent. He moved the needle not only in terms of music, but just think of what they did alone to MTV. I mean, they were part of the crew that actually helped build MTV because of their success and their videos. You cannot, you just have to respect that kind of talent. And to hear that he was reaching out and he was mentoring other musicians, that's kind of my theory, is that really, really good musicians just love to talk their craft, and they're gonna reach out and talk to the people. So I'm totally down for filling the boot for Eddie. He deserves it.
All right. Well, good. We're all on the same page. Tut, since you're got the hot mic, top 3 Van Halen songs.
Top 3 Van Halen songs. Number 1, Panama. And I say that unapologetically. I am not going to apologize, even if it is one of their most poppy songs. It is my favorite Van Halen song, bar none.
Great song.
Number 2, Everybody Wants Some. There is something about that old carnal track that I love. And number 3, you cannot get past Hot for Teacher. That opening drum lick has befuddled drummers for decades, and it will still befuddle drummers for decades more.
Well put. I have no problem with those 3. Yak Boy, what about you?
I have got to go with Tut. Everybody Wants Some. That is probably and will remain my number 1 Van Halen song forever. It just, every time I hear it, just that intro, I still get that little tingle in my spine.
Yeah.
Second, You Really Got Me Going.
That's a good song.
Yeah.
But I got to preface it because, listening to the album over and over again, I always just thought, you got to go with the solo Eruption because it flowed right into the thing. It's like, to me, that's like one song.
Yeah.
Well, that's the same with Intruder and the way it goes into Oh Pretty Woman. It's like this minute and a half of just this moaning, distorted, grinding kind of sonic wall of ballsy just guitar, and then it goes into Oh Pretty Woman of all songs. But it works.
No, yeah, that was it. I was still looking at that one going, well, wait a second, man. That one's God, this was like hard. I'm sitting here because I could have just put all the name, I could have just thrown darts at a wall.
Yeah.
Put all their songs up and been like, I would have been fine with it because I'm sitting here because I can totally say Panama was ever. I'm like, yeah, Panama, but I don't know what to do. I was like, because that was the thing. Like, so between that and Unchained.
Oh, Unchained's a great one. That almost made my list. Okay, well, for me, the number 1 song is by far, and I mentioned this to the doctor who had just read that book about Van Halen. I know he's a big Van Halen fan, and he had never heard this song. So I was like, yeah, you gotta go listen to this album again, man. Mean Streets off Fair Warning.
Oh,
yeah.
Love it.
That is just, when you get up on stage and bust into that, these boys mean business, and it's just, I think it encapsulates Eddie's talent, Dave's attitude. The drums are just incredible. Michael Anthony just doing his beautiful chorus work. As far as Van Halen goes, you can't say enough about Michael Anthony with his chorus vocals and his background vocals, but he also does some really tricky stuff on that bass, especially in the early stuff. So Mean Streets off Fair Warning. Ain't Talking About Love off their first
about love.
Van Halen. And then I also were 3 for 3. I went Everybody Wants Some off Women and Children first. It's just such a great song. But you know what? Could have easily put Panama in there. Could have easily put Hot for Teacher in there. I noticed none of us picked any Sammy songs, but I was driving around today and they played Dreams on the thing. I was like, you know what? That's some tricky keyboard shit Eddie was doing in that song.
Here's what turned me around on Sammy Hagar. Or for one thing, I've followed up and I've learned some stuff about what Sammy used to do before his Van Halen days. And this
Montrose
dude,
and all that.
the Red Rocker was just apparently a wild man on stage. I've talked with guys who've mixed sound for him, who've been to those early concerts. And they said that he was just a maniac. And I was like, you know what? I need to get over my hate for him, causing a divorce between David and them, which he didn't cause. But anyway, so here I find myself years later, and especially going through that time, just absolutely wanting nothing to do with Sammy Hagar. And I know his songs. I hum them. I sing the melodies. They're good music, man. It's good music.
You were singing right now before we started the show. If you put that on your list,
no tomorrow.
I would have closed your little Zoom square on here and get the hell out of here with that. Okay. Oh God, dude, it's been a while since I've had to do this. Okay. Now, as you loyal listeners and viewers know, Eddie's soul, both his creative soul and his actual spiritual soul, are now trapped within the boot of remembrance. And in order for him to be released from purgatory into the heavens, I must chug the boot. And I shall do that now.
Right now. Hey, there's no tomorrow.
Damn it, man. Eddie's soul just shot out his nose.
Oh God! I hope that wasn't his wiener. He's gonna need that. All right, let's try this again. And now that I'm ready for it, I think right now would be a fitting song if you want to continue.
I don't know if I can continue. Right now, hey, there's no tomorrow. Right now, we're gonna feel the boot. Right now, can't drink the boot of no tomorrow. Wait a minute, Sarah. I don't really know, but he's doing it. He's drinking it. Did he freeze? No. Look at that.
He's going. He's did it.
Eddie is now resting in peace, or part of him.
Eddie, that was for you. Thank you for all the gifts you gave us over the years. It's one of the live acts I really regret that I never got to see on stage.
Agreed.
All the cool kids in middle school when I was growing up, they all got to go to Austin and see Van Halen, and I didn't get invited to those kind of things. So, but yet I'm the one who's in charge for releasing Eddie's soul. See how that works?
It's a burden, man. It's a burden and a responsibility.
Well, speaking of booze, that went down sort of smooth. We drink beers, we smoke cigars, we occasionally give tribute to fallen celebrities, and we talk our way through a hopefully entertaining movie. If it's not entertaining, we make it entertaining for your benefit and ours. Before we get started this evening with the cigar and the film, let's tackle the beers first, and that's where we go to our resident beer expert, co-owner of O'Brien's Irish Pub in downtown historic Temple, Texas, the one, the only, Yak Boy. No, not you.
Yak Boy, yeah.
He knows everything, Yak Boy. The floor is yours. What are you drinking, pal?
Get my notes here. I am having the delicious Murphy's Irish Stout.
Oh, yeah. That's a name I haven't heard in a long time.
Oh yes, I after this movie, after the the name of the cigar that we're doing, I'm like, this is it. This Black Beauty right here.
That is black.
It is an Irish dry stout. Murphy's originally started in County Cork, Ireland in 1856 by one Mr. James Jeremiah Murphy. The original brewery is still there. The company itself was purchased by the Heineken Corporation back in '83 and taken internationally. Besides their stout, one of their more famous beers is their Irish Red, which to me is probably it's like the best red ale. I love it. Can't get enough of it. It's basically it's 4% ABV, about 34 IBU, so it does have just a little bit of a kind of a hop touch on it, which I really like. Besides the typical that roasted, dry roasted character, and of course it is nitrogen, so it does help. Much just like Guinness, it's very smooth, creamy body to it. So I'm enjoying it, and I believe it will complement our cigar choice this evening.
I bet it will. That's a good call. Okay, good stuff, Yax. What is Mr. Tuttle drinking?
Well, he is drinking something we've never seen before. It's the Shiner Oktoberfest.
Shiner Oktoberfest. Man, it's amazing. In 6 years of doing this, Shiner, Texas beer, we haven't tackled this one.
I just saw it in the grocery store, and I'm like, you know what? It's Oktoberfest. I'm feeling in the mood for an Oktoberfest beer, and what the hell? Let's try this one.
I'm going to be really curious to see what you think. I almost grabbed the Shiner Black. We're doing the Tatuaje Black cigar.
Yeah, I like the Shiner Black.
I can't drink more than one of them. And if it was all of us at the table, that would be different, because then it's like the group pairing of Shiner Black with the Tatuaje Black. That looks good. But the way things are now, we're all scattered around. Like, I couldn't do it. I'm not that big of a Shiner.
Drink something you're going to love, man. Drink something you're going to love.
Yeah, well, I just went with something I had never had before, because I knew I wasn't going to love that. I'm not a big Shiner guy. How is the Shiner Oktoberfest? I can't believe I've never had that.
Man, I think it's if you really want to find out what I think about it, go back to episode 38 or go back to episode 54 and then read our pairing notes from there, because we have done this twice on the show. Once we actually forgot it, and then, if I'm being perfectly honest, I forgot I did this beer when I was in checkout, and then when I got to the car, I was like, "Oh crap, we've actually done this
twice."
What is it about us forgetting about Shiner Oktoberfest,
folks? In our 5-year
addictive chemical.
In our 5-year history, 125 episodes, there's only been one beer. Believe it or not, you think this would have happened more, or that we would have developed some kind of spreadsheet to make sure this doesn't have. We were reviewing the Shiner Bock Oktoberfest, and the more we talked about it, about 2 hours in, it was just like somebody was like, "Man, this all seems really familiar." And sure enough, we'd actually reviewed that beer before and had no idea. And then I guess Tuttle forgot. Hey, say what you want about Tuesday Night Cigar Club. We do not learn from our mistakes ever. He did it again tonight.
It's just your wonderful Marzahn Oktoberfest beer, Shiner's take on it, and it's nice. It's got a little bit of a maltiness to it, but there's still a decent enough spice to keep it interesting. I'm not going to put it on the level of the great German deals, but it is Bavarian inspired, and that's okay with me.
Is the Marzahn, that's going to give you Axe? That's going to give you kind of the wheat, or the yeast?
Yes, you're going to get it. The Marzahn style is going to have a kind of a real bready flavor to it.
Kind of like some banana, maybe some cloves.
No, I mean, that's going to be more like your Hefeweizen.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's what I was thinking. The Hefeweizen. I'm sorry.
The Oktoberfest, stat wise, it's 5.7% ABV. It's 18 IBUs. So it's negligible.
Just like
of course,
Tuttle likes it.
Being, produced by Shiner, which the brewery, the Spetzel Brewery, is still located in Shiner, Texas, founded back in 1909 by one Mr. Cosmo Spetzel.
Ooh.
That's a name you just
That's a
can't-
name. That's an awesome name.
Yeah.
But of course, they are most well known for their Bock beer, the Shiner Bock. And the good thing is now Shiner has grown, and they are now available in all 50 states. So,
I didn't know that.
If you're getting a hankering for it, you can find it.
I'm gonna have to jump to a more hipster Texas
I
beer.
was gonna say all the Brooklyn hipsters are drinking Shiner Bock up there now.
Are they?
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to stop drinking Shiner.
And they're the ones who told me that Oktoberfest beers taste like bananas.
Yeah.
They are bananas.
I've been listening to
You're not.
the hipster beer podcasters, and they're wrong about everything. Did you see Tut's face when I said, some bananas and cloves? He got all aggressive, like, get out of here. I made a mistake. I got my Hefeweizens and my Marzens confused.
I'm sorry, it's the Austin hipsters. They've gotten to me, man. I have no tolerance anymore.
That's why Yak Boy is our resident beer expert, so I don't have to remember everything. And he was gentle. He was like, "No, Kate, that's actually," but you just that's why Van Halen broke up right there.
So angry.
From what I've heard, that's true. That's actually accurate.
Diamond Dave was talking about some bananas and cloves, and next thing you know, he was off the bus. Boom, done. Okay. I guess we need to talk about what I'm drinking.
I think
yes.
you drink something?
You are having from the delicious Coop Ale Works located in
Oklahoma.
The DNR. Do Not Resuscitate is a Belgian-style strong dark ale. That can is pretty cool looking. I'll say that.
It's got a dead body on it with a toe tag.
Toe tag.
The Coop Brewery logo on the toe tag, and
not really certain if that's the thing. Drink this beer. This is going to be you later. What?
Well, I picked it because it's a black can with a dead body. We got a lot of those. We got a lot of bodies in the morgue in tonight's movie, so it certainly fits thematically. But tell me a little bit about what the hell this is I'm drinking.
Like I said, it is a strong dark ale. You have, of course, picked Powerhouse this evening, 10% ABV, but it only comes in at 30 IBUs.
It tracks. That sounds about right. Man, it's got a lot of flavors going on.
Yes, that's what they listed as it just being, overly abundant. I mean, there's.
It's fruit heavy. Yeah. It's got a lot of like raisin, dates, kind of those real sweet kind of fruit notes.
Yes.
Really malty on the nose, real malt heavy aroma, but boy, just a lot of fruit going on. There is that maltiness. The 30 IBUs is probably about right. It does have just a little bit of bitterness. It's interesting. I'm worried about it with the cigar, to be honest with you. Like you said, when I should have read the beer, when it's like the special thing we do with this beer is we infuse 2,000 flavors into it. Okay, well,
excellent.
That might contradict, I guess, with the cigar. Maybe, I don't know, or maybe it'll complement it. I don't know. It is. There's like some apple in there. Like it's got a lot of just. And banana and cloves.
Okay, all right, yeah.
They're in there.
I want to bust in with breaking news from the Facebook Tuesday Night Cigar Club Facebook page.
Oh boy!
Regarding the Jerry Seinfeld clip that you posted up there in response to the controversy that we had on the last episode.
Last episode, the Tuesday Night Cigar Club, like Van Halen, almost broke up. Over a pair of Docker pants.
That's correct. And you wisely and funnily posted up the Jerry Seinfeld commercial. And then longtime listener, Brooke Von Lowe, she clicked the like button on there because guess what? Unlike other cigar podcasts, we like Seinfeld and recognize the genius of Seinfeld.
It's the
The
best
show about nothing talked about everything.
Right, you are, sir. Brooke knows. You're right. Longtime fan. She's been clicking that like button and leaving comments since we first started this crazy circus. So
That is correct.
I'm glad you enjoyed there. But yeah, it was funny. Things got really hostile in the last 30 minutes of our last episode, where Yak Boy and I took the position of kind of being a little bit critical of Docker slacks, and
No, critical. Y'all came out anti-Docker.
we're anti-Dockers.
Yeah.
Don't try to sidetrack Yak Boy. There was one moment where I was like, there's one time Yak Boy where I was like, you don't own a pair, do you? You're like, oh God, no.
No,
And then
I didn't think our stance was so hostile. I thought we were just like, look, we're not a fan of Dockers. They're complete. What's the point of Dockers?
And then the doctor of all people tried to tell me that they're like a $60-$70 pair of pants you got to go to Macy's to get, or some fancy Madison Avenue store to get them. And I'm like, I'm pretty sure you can get them at Walmart for like 20-something bucks. Oh God, no. So anyway, it got really contentious, and honestly, when the mics,
Dockers are a good quality item.
when the mics got turned off, like I made fun that they like come with the pleats already in them, and he was like, they have flat front too. You don't have to get the pleats. And he was a big Dockers apologist, and I could say all this because he's not here tonight. So yeah, go back and if you skipped ahead, go back and listen to that last 30 minutes. My God, and it all started the main character of that movie wore a stupid pair of Dockers pants, and things tend to go where they go when we talk about the movie. I'm hoping we'll have those same kind of fireworks tonight if we're lucky. But yeah, okay, we talked about all three beers. We have one more order of business before we get into the movie. And that is tonight's cigar. Oh, Tut, that looks beautiful on your screen there. The light's hitting it just right. It's a beautiful wrapper. Okay. It is the Tatuaje Black by Tatuaje, obviously. Look at this. Look at that shine. That is beautiful. Look at that in the cap. The little, what do you call that? It's not a pigtail because you can't, but it's that little twisted kind of pyramid cap. I don't know what that's called.
Uh-oh. Of all of us, you'd probably be the most likely to know. That's the nub tip.
No, that's not a thing.
Yeah. I've heard people call it the nub tip.
Call it a nipple.
Oh no, you know what? I think they call it a. It's like a chocolate chip cap.
Yeah, I'm going with nipple.
It looks like a chocolate chip cap.
I'm going with the Axis nipple.
Or a really weird nipple.
Hershey's Kiss. That's already taken.
A Hershey Kiss cap. There you go. It is a 5 5/8 by 46. That qualifies it as a Corona Gorda. A Nicaraguan. Look at that. Oh, and I have to warn you, as you guys know, when you're getting the cold draw, Tut, it is a closed foot cigar.
I got that.
Okay. Sometimes when we do a closed foot cigar, one of us will be like, I'm not getting shit on this cold draw. It's like, well, there you go. It is here's what this beautiful wrapper is, boys. A Nicaraguan sun-grown Criollo Esteli wrapper.
Okay.
My God, it is just, it's leathery. It's got some oil to it. If you rub your fingers down it. It's got some veins, but it's a beautiful presentation. The binder is Nicaraguan and the filler is Nicaraguan. So we got ourselves a Nicaraguan Puro here, boys.
All right.
I will talk price point later. A little background. This is Tatuaje's main man, Pete Johnson, who we've had here on the show. His personal blend that he originally made just for himself. All cigar blenders, if they're a cigar blender of any kind of status, make their own private blend that they keep in their shirt pocket. They hand out to friends and family. Well, many moons ago, he eventually released this private blend out in super limited quantities. They originally came out in these ceramic jars that were super, on the secondary market, these things went for way more than like the monster boxes, like $1,000 for these ceramic jars of the Black Label. And then years later, he made it into a regular production cigar. So you can actually find these now over at our friend FamousSmokeShop.com. If we like it and suggest you go out and get it, that's where I would recommend you go get it.
Or even if you just want to be anti-TNCC and say, you know what, screw you guys, I want to have it even if you don't like it.
Yeah, you know what?
Well, still go to the TuesdayNightCigarClub.com, click on the Famous Smoke Shop banner, and then buy your Tatuaje Black from there. And prove us wrong.
Buy them ironically, using our promo code. Why did I pick it for tonight's show? You may well ask. Because our movie monsters tonight are jet black, the blackest things you've ever seen, like Yak Boy's beer and
my heart
and Tuttle's heart. So I went with the Tatuaje Black. This is the black cigar, simple as that. And speaking of those monsters, shall we?
Please
do it.
Ted, as I cut my cigar, though, before we get in the movie, let us know what your first impressions are of the cigar.
Well, there's a woodsy note. I'm not quite sure if it's cedar because you have to work yourself through that closed foot. So you're getting a lot of that wrapper coming right off into it. But it's a bright wood.
There is a bright woodsiness coming through on that cold draw, and a little bit of sweetness is what I'm getting. Even a little bit of barnyard, a little bit of.
Yeah. Well, you're definitely coming through. You're definitely coming through with that transition as the cigar lights into it. That pretty much is the dominant flavor going into the cigar. We'll see what happens once this thing really takes hold. It's still kind of burning through that closed foot.
Yeah, getting some really nice white pepper on the nose, and that woodsiness is continuing. It's funny you mentioned that bright woodsiness because that's what when you said that, it kind of, or maybe I said it, and you acknowledged it.
I said bright woodsiness.
It is a bright woodsiness. It's kind of just kind of a really sharp, pronounced. Yeah, I'd probably classify it as like a cedar, but it's.
Yeah, I thought it was. That was my first go-to was cedar, except it's way more. It's just brighter. It's like a lighter, and I hate saying lighter because that makes you think that it's a brighter light presence, but it's not. It's a heavy presence.
Let's just go with brighter.
Brighter.
Even though it makes no sense from a sensory tasting, I like it.
I do too. And you're right. That pepper on the nose coming through that retrohale, that's all about it.
Yeah, that white pepper pop with that bright cedar coming through. And I am getting just a very, very underneath it. And I think it's that sun-grown wrapper. I am getting a little bit of that kind of juicy sweetness, that natural sweetness. But it's very faint underneath the cedar.
Yeah, I'm not getting the sweetness.
It's nice.
I think that might actually be the Marzon drowning it out because that Marzon's got that breadiness coming into it, and I think that's actually kind of taken over that lower palate.
Well, I'm about to take a sip of my beer of a million flavors, so I'm sure it'll completely destroy whatever.
Cigar, it tastes exactly like this beer in every flavor.
Yeah, so are you getting about what we're talking about there on the cigar?
I am. I had just the cold draw. I mean, I had a very strong, you said, like you said, that bright woodsy, but I mean, a little bit of the hay and leather.
Yeah, the hay was there, definitely.
Just on that. And then right there on that initial, the light up, I mean, that little blast of the spice, the pepper, I really liked that. It's still right there, but I mean, it was like initially just that first few puffs, man, it was so strong.
That was hot.
But like I said, I think that was catching that closed foot. So,
yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm going to come back to it fairly quickly, but let me introduce tonight's film. The third component of what makes the Tuesday Night Cigar Club so special. Slugs.
Slugs.
Not you.
Makes it special.
Not you two. I wasn't calling you two slugs. The name of tonight's film is Slugs.
Slugs.
So catchy.
1988's Slugs. Hey man, what else?
Slugs.
Written by Ron.
It could literally have been called anything. Absolutely anything. Horror from below.
Slugs.
Just
Satan's Sewer.
Slugs.
Slugs.
Look, we tested that with 3 different marketing groups, and it just didn't take. What they really gravitated to was
Turns
slugs.
Teenage girls don't want to go see a movie called Slugs. Slugs. Look, the director has final approval on the title, and he's just committed on Slugs. He says it's sexy.
Well, it's either that or they just kept coming out with these names like, we'll call it It. That one's already been taken.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Them.
No.
Slugs? No, that one's not taken. All right. That's it. No more. Let's do it.
Can't imagine why.
I like Kate's thought. No, the director thinks it's sexy. We're going with slugs.
No, he's Spanish. He thinks Americans are going to like a movie called Slugs. Pick up your date on a Friday night in 1988. Hey, baby, I thought maybe we could go over to what restaurants were around that. I thought we'd maybe hit the Dairy Queen and then catch the 9 o'clock showing of Slugs.
Oh, yes.
Oh, sounds great, baby.
Shortest date ever.
I just gave you the recipe for the worst date ever. But I'm Matt Cade, and I got a pack of cigarettes rolled up in my sleeve and a white T-shirt on, so I know you're coming.
Let's do this podcast, baby.
Slugs. Written by Ron Gantman, who adapted his screenplay from the novel by Sean Hudson. Yeah, there's a book about slugs. The film was directed by Spanish director Juan Piquer Simon, who goes by J.P. Simon on his U.S. releases. He owned his own studio in Madrid, where he pumped out a ton of exploitation and horror films. Most notably, he directed 1982's Boston College set slasher film Pieces. Pieces is kind of well regarded in the horror community. I wasn't that big a fan of it, but a lot of folks are. All right, y'all ready to get your slugs on?
Yeah, let's do this, man. I got my salt right here, just in case.
I actually poured a line of salt across my doorway before we started this because, unlike when we do a Jaws movie, I know a shark can't get me in the corner of no hope. This movie kind of, I don't like slug.
First of all, all right. So yeah, I got the notice. Hey, we're doing slugs, and then I looked up that cover art, and I was like, oh hell no. And I had the worst thoughts because one of the scariest scenes in all of cinema, Star Trek, The Wrath of Khan, when they put those little ear slugs in him, and
creatures in our ears.
Oh, that's what this movie. I was like, oh god, here we go.
I wonder how many kids there are of the 80s like us that were traumatized by Star Trek 2 because of those ear slugs. I walked out of that theater. I didn't even pay attention to the rest of the movie. I was so traumatized from those ear slugs. That was the most disgusting thing I'd ever seen.
It was just terrible. And yet here we are still talking about it to this day.
I still can't tell you anything about that movie other than ear slugs. Well, these slugs go in every orifice of your body, not just your ears.
Even better.
Well done, J.P. Simon. Okay. I sure as hell am ready to talk about slugs tonight. How can we have a March to Halloween without a creature feature? Answer, we can't.
Exactly. Need one. Always need a creature feature.
This is this year's creature feature, boys. Slugs are creatures.
Slugs.
You know what though? Do you think maybe the slugs are just pissed off and want to fight humanity because of the name we gave them? It's a really bad. It's a bad name, slugs. Look at those things. They're so stupid. And they just move all slow. What do you want to call them? Slugs. Like you give all these other creatures these beautiful names or like these highly scientific names.
No, they're slow and they lug that shell.
They're pissed off like, oh, sure, that guy's got a shell. You're going to call him a snail. What do I get? Nothing.
Who's that dude? Oh, we call him a tortoise. Oh, that's beautiful. What are you guys you guys decide on a name for us yet? Yeah, we did actually. We got together last night. You guys are going to be called Slugs.
Ugh. See?
Ugh. Hey, I started the show with Ugh. UGH. That's 2 letters away from slug. Slugs are the Ughs of the animal world. And trust me, folks, you're not going to like them any better tonight at the end of the show than you do. If right now you're listening like, God, these guys are really hard on slugs, which I don't know who would ever say that. I think these guys are really unfairly just coming down on slugs. They're not. They're evil. They're evil. In the words of Mrs. Burke from Children of the Corn 2, they're evil, I tells you.
They're evil. I warned you. I warned you they were evil.
Slimy little bastards. Okay. So, and by the way, before I dive into the movie, because I tend to go fairly quickly, boy, this cigar is burning beautifully. I got a straight burn line, and I'm getting nothing but cedar. I got a little hint of leather now that I'm about an inch in. The sweetness was coming from my Fruity Pebbles beer. I don't think that is the cigar. But that white pepper on the nose mixed with that bright cedar and leather, I'm liking the cigar quite a bit.
Yeah, it's a nice little round from palate to retro.
Mm-hmm. So if you guys get anything new, don't be afraid to jump in there. So we kick things off with a young teenage couple out in a rowboat in the middle of a lake. Despite the very cute blonde chick stripping down to her panties and begging the doofus she's with to go for a swim with her, the moron says, man, the sewer dumps into the lake nearby. I'd rather just do some fishing.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Well, before too long, the decision to swim is taken out of his hands as he's pulled into the water by a violent force. She tells him to quit farting around, but only his hand emerges and shakes around, briefly reaching for help. She thinks he's still farting around, and right as she threatens to row away and leave his unhorny ass out there, a massive bubbling of blood erupts from the lake on the lake surface. She screams.
Bloody bath bomb.
She screams, and we cut to the opening credits of Slugs, the movie.
I love that touch.
Well, they needed to remind us what it was. Slugs.
Not to be confused with Slugs, the song, or Slugs, the TV show.
Slugs the Slugs.
But also, I want to say it was a bold move on their part to go ahead and have them actually spell it out in cursive. Slugs.
Yeah, the credits are really cool. The slugs themselves spell out slugs in cursive, while orchestral music mixed with the woman screaming plays out nicely. It has an epic kind of feel to it, the score. But yeah, I kind of wondered about that. Slugs, the movie. It's like you're in the theater. Yeah, no shit. But you know what? Hamburger, the motion picture, is one of our favorite. And Hot Dog, the motion picture. Yeah,
but they're really, it's one of those, let's say this ironically. They weren't being ironic when they said this. Slugs, the movie.
Yeah. Should we start calling ourselves Tuesday Night Cigar Club, the podcast?
Yes. We are the podcast.
We are the podcast. I like that. Well, now it's nighttime on a quiet street, and as an older gentleman walks his dog, a muscle car barrels past him, screeching its tires, and the driver, a young, handsome, Matt Cade-esque rebel named Bobby, yells out his window, "Move it, scumbag!" As the old guy falls down on the pavement, he bites it. I'll be honest, this might be my favorite opening scene of any movie in the entire history of movies. I really don't care where the film went from here. Once this Bobby dude blares his tires and knocks this old guy down walking his dog and calls him a scumbag, I'm on board, man. I want to see Bobby the movie.
Well, we'll find out. That'll be a little too late.
Yeah. The old fucker, cursing and grumbling, picks himself up and drags his squealing, unhappy dog back to his nearby house.
Actually, I was going to say we'll find out that we've actually been living Bobby the movie for quite a while. And this dog, man, I don't know what ADR loop.
Oh, dude, it's all 80. I don't know where they got the sounds of a miserable, tortured dog.
It was horrible to hear. It really was.
You don't
made me wince.
You don't actually see him dragging his dog back to his house, but you just hear this poor dog whimpering.
Oh no, there was actually a scene where I saw the dog's mouth not moving, but the ADR was placed over it. Yeah. I was like, oh, thank God.
Yeah, no, yeah. Well, when he gets to his house, he sees the condemn sign on it and he spits on it. And the place is just littered with eviction notices. Well, the dude doesn't care. He just takes a long swig on the porch from his bottle of Southern Comfort he keeps in his bathrobe, and he enters the house. He's a real drunk, too, because one minute he's talking sweet to the dog. How about you and me get a snack, huh, Casey? Would you like that, boy? And then like a second later, shut up, you goddamn mongrel. My house isn't good enough for you? You want to go live with some better? Fuck you. Like, oh, it's good acting.
This is what Danny's dad from Children of the Corn too. Yeah. This is what happens when he gets to be grandpa's age.
This is our house. It's a shithole. Now you deal with that however you can, Casey. It's a fucking dog, dude. The poor dog just wants to go to sleep. And I say he pulls harshly on the pup's leash. It's just an old tethered rope. He doesn't have a leash. It's just a piece of rope he drags him around on. Well, we're not done with this guy yet. Inside the house, it's a total shithole. Empty beer bottles, dirty dishes, moldy leftover pizza. That's all this poor guy has to his name. And when he throws an old pizza box down the basement stairs, that's like his trash compactor. Opens the basement door and throws his shit down there. It lands flat on a giant pile of slimy, jet black, enormous slugs.
Slugs.
And when I say enormous...
Imagine if your floor was just a covering of slugs.
And when I say enormous, listeners, I don't mean crazy proportions. Because it's a creature feature, but these aren't like Volkswagen slugs. Right. I'm talking like 7-8 inches, which they're usually about a third of that at best. But they're big, fat, juicy slugs. About as big around as a ballpark wiener. Tut?
That's a tremendous wiener.
Does that sound about right, Tut? Ballpark wiener?
That's a tremendous wiener.
Those are tremendous slugs. Well, I can appreciate both approaches to the creature feature. I love them all. I do like it when the filmmakers get right down to business from the opening scene and show us the monster. So many creature features. An hour in, you still haven't seen what they're being terrorized by. I like that we see the slugs in the first 5 minutes. Like
everybody knows what a slug is, and you can't sit there and say it's so huge that we can't show you. No, they know that just a slug by itself is terrifying. Now make a whole horde of slugs, enough to cover your entire floor, and it just gives you the heebie-jeebies right off the bat.
Well, I don't know if one slug is terrifying. If I go out in the yard and I see a slug, I'm not like
it's dead. I'm killing it with fire just to be sure.
Okay.
Fire cures most things.
Well, the minute old drunkie plops down on his couch, the slugs tear him to pieces. We don't see it. We'll see plenty of that later, but we do hear him yelling and begging for his life as they devour him. Yeah, because things were going so good for this guy. Like, I thought I'd be thankful.
Look, we don't know. Maybe tomorrow he was going to turn his life around. We'll never know now.
Well, slugs show no mercy, do they, Yaks?
He's been institutionalized by the system, and the slugs set him free.
There's an island off the Philippines. George Soros has been brainwashing slugs. 30 years, folks, it's been going on. You have to use some of my amino-infused iodized salt. It's the only thing that can stop them. Infowars.com. Meanwhile, across town at a swanky nightclub, two well-dressed men and their wives are having a little double date.
Ooh, yeah, they are.
Everyone seems to be having a good time, especially blonde drunk wife, Maureen. Maureen Watson, as a matter of fact, who's ordering another round every 3 minutes. Tut style. Seriously, there's just 4 of them sitting here, and their table has like 10 empty beer bottles on it and a bunch of empty glassware. Us style.
Yes.
You're just in time. Don't spill it, the sexy drunk wife yells at the waiter as he brings her another round of Heinekens. Her calm, smiling husband. Is this our first drunk wife?
No. Yes.
No, raw deal. Arnold.
Yes, correct.
She was the original drunk wife.
The cake.
But this chick takes the cake.
Don't drink and bake.
This drunk wife is much drunker than that drunk wife.
She's my favorite drunk wife to date.
Oh yeah. She's great. She sets the standard. Her calm, smiling husband, David. David Watson. He's seen this. He knows when he took her to this nightclub, he knew what he was getting. He tells her, Maureen, you might want to slow down a bit. Well, excuse me for having a good time, she slurs. I should mention, too, she's pretty sexy.
Oh, very. That's the only reason that drunk wife can get away with it.
There's a reason he's putting up with this shit. She's pretty hot. When she asks her hubby to dance and he says no, drunk wife asks their companion, Mike Brady, if he'd like to boogie, but he declines, which his wife Kim is thankful for. That's a weird thing to ask. Like, imagine if Tut, you and I were on a double date, and you're like, your wife was like, "Hey Tut, let's go dance." You're like, "Nah, I'm not feeling it, baby." All right, Kate, what about you? Let's go boogie. You're like, do it,
honey. Check.
This is what you. This is
check,
the kind of.
Please.
This is. So I don't like drunk wife anymore. She's fun when she's someone else's drunk wife.
Exactly.
Kate and her out there disco dancing. I don't like her all of a sudden. Well, this makes Mike Brady's wife Kim. She's happy that he declines to dance. Just great, drunk wife says. Another fun-filled night in boring old Ashton, New York, the armpit of America. As she chugs from her fresh glass of Heineken. You know what? I think we better go, uptight Kim says. I say uptight. She's just not drunk. And she and her husband, local health inspector Mike, get up and leave. He tells Dave he has to meet Sheriff Reese down at the town drunk Ron Bell's house early in the morning to evict him, and it's getting late. I bet Ron Bell's the guy we just saw get ate by the slugs.
That would be true.
Good luck evicting him. On their way out, Mike and Kim run into Don Palmer, the county's sanitation supervisor. Man, all these city workers are coming out to party tonight.
It's a happening club. It's the only club in the armpit of America.
And his strangely older European wife, Maria. Introductions are made, and Maria tells Kim that she doesn't look like the wicked bitch of the North at all, which at first offends Kim until Maria explains, no, my 2 sons are in your high school class that you teach. They're the ones who call you a bitch, and everyone laughs. This is just one example of a foreign director who thinks this is how Americans talk.
Yes.
Back at home, Kim puts on some black lingerie and slinks her way into the bedroom. Did you think Maureen is sexy? He's smart. I think she drinks too much. She likes that. Well, what do you like this?
But she even calls him on it. She was like, "You didn't answer."
Yeah. But do you like this? She asks, showing him her lingerie and her stockings. Yeah, very much, he says. If you guys are wondering why some of the dialogue is so stilted and awkward in tonight's film, it's because much of it was shot in Madrid with Spanish actors and then redubbed in English later on. But they do a pretty good job of it. And it's really hard to tell because there are some scenes with American actors speaking American. It's kind of a unique kind of gel of styles here.
Not with these babies. With these babies, you pick up all that stuff. You're like, man, is there any natural sound in this movie at all?
I think Don Palmer, the sanitation guy, he's American.
Yeah, but even then they recorded him outside, or they recorded him post to match him up with everybody else.
But it does not take away at all from the viewing experience. That's important to say. Well, I don't care. I don't care where they filmed it or how they record the audio to it. How about that Mrs. Brady in that lingerie? Talk about hot for teacher, huh?
Yeah.
Mike Brady has it made.
Dude, bigwig county health inspector. He's got the big house. Got the wife put on the lingerie. And Mike is thinking along those same lines. So, teacher, how about we start on our homework, he says, as they get down to doing it. But while they're fornicating most vigorously, the camera pans over to the bedroom window where a couple of big-ass slugs are sliming their way around.
Here we go.
It's not a good thing. The next morning, Mike heads over to the sheriff's office in his government-issued health department station wagon. The cop man in the front desk, Deputy Dobbs, is arguing with his wife on the phone. She wants him to come home and kill some big-ass slugs that have gotten into their house, and he just laughs at her. You want me to come home to kill some giant slugs? You crazy woman. You know who never laughs about anything at all ever, boys?
Who's that?
Who's that?
That's right. The super serious Sheriff Reese. Boy, this guy. He's pissed that Mike is 2 minutes late for their appointment. And as they drive over to Ron Bell's house, he not only tells Mike he can't smoke a cigarette in his patrol car, but when Mike throws it out the window, he threatens to fine him for polluting when Mike tosses the smoke out. I hate this sheriff guy, man. He was a giant stick up his ass, right?
Yep.
Well, they needed to identify it. I mean, how else are you supposed to know who you're going to like in Slugs? And also, you got to when they identify the Slugs, he's got to be like, I don't believe you. It's all crap. Yeah. Well, now you know this guy's not going to listen to anybody ever.
That's good screenwriting. And, well, the guy's a horrible actor. He says his lines well enough, I guess. Stupid sheriff. And how about that? Did you guys notice the lighthearted, cheerful, flute-heavy orchestra music playing as the cop car went
like
Ron Bell's house?
I was like,
and then it ends in a giant swell of like percussion instruments, like this epic thing, and they're just like pulling into a house. The music in this film does not fit what we're seeing on screen.
Well, no, I couldn't figure it out because it took me a second for like, cause I was watching it and all of a sudden I was, it's one of those where it's like, I'm just passively watching, and I couldn't figure out what was going on. I was like, finally stopped. Like, wait, I rewound.
It sounds like there's something epic going on.
Like, no, I rewound it. Like, oh, I guess I missed something. I should rewind this. Like, oh no, they're just driving. But it was like the most epic, Ben-Hur music I ever. It was like Ben-Hur, and it was just them driving a car. This flick overall, like I said, makes some very odd soundtrack choices, but I personally think it adds to the movie's charm. Slugs. Well, they're not inside Ron Bell's house for 10 seconds before they follow the rotten stench of death to the couch, where we see Ron Bell's decomposed corpse. Actually, it's not decomposed. It's all the way decomposed. It's basically a slimy skeleton head with some worms wiggling out of the eyeballs. Mike follows some slime trails on the kitchen floor leading to the basement door, but the smell's too damn bad. He can't even go down the stairs. Deputy Dobb tells him that the coroner said Ron's kidneys, his liver, his heart, everything was gone. And the guy can't even remember seeing anything like this back in Vietnam. Were they taking organs out of dudes in Vietnam?
Oh, that's how strange it is.
Well, I mean, that would imply that he actually saw stuff in Vietnam, but he didn't say, like, well, wait a second. Well, what did you do in Vietnam? I was in the motor pool. Well,
did y'all, speaking of this coroner, did y'all notice the two coroner guys who show up at every single crime scene in this movie to pick up the bodies? One of them is an old guy who's dressed up like, looks just like Popeye the Sailor Man. Did you tell me you saw him?
I did not see him.
He's got a little white hat on. He's got a squinty eye, a little corncob pipe, and he's got these white pants. And he's at every single crime scene, and he looks just like Popeye.
This is what the Americans look like. Go with it.
As they leave the house, Mike asks Sheriff Reese what his theory is, and he says, it's probably wild dogs or just a pack of raccoons. But Mike isn't buying that. He thinks it might be rats. Yax, you're a well-rounded guy. You've seen it all. Have you ever witnessed raccoons doing this kind of damage to a human being? He was skinless. It was a skeleton with worms coming out of his eyeballs.
Well, I was sitting here. The first thing I thought about, well, wait a second. You're not out like, you went and drove like, an hour outside of this city. You're in the city. You're clearly in a semi, other than this dude, the houses it's not like they're in like some sort of rundown place.
I think it was
just comes back. Well, it could just be a pack of roving, vicious dogs that could attack anybody at any moment. You know what? So you're what? Raccoons? They're vicious, I tell you.
Well, I think it was that mountain.
No interest in the fact that he just implicated, like, so wait a second. The health inspector, because wait a second, a pack of vicious dogs? Shouldn't you be looking for that? Fuck it.
All right, homicidal raccoons. That's what you're typing up on the report. You're okay with this? All right. I think it was just all the trash in the guy's house. He just was like, raccoons probably, they like trash.
Makes sense. They're called trash pandas.
Yeah. Okay. Well, next stop on Mike Brady's work to-do list is the home of elderly windbag Florence Fortune, who's called both the health department and the sanitation department to complain about her sewer backing up. And that's why sanitation department bigwig Don Palmer is pulling up to Miss Fortune's house at the same time Mike is. Man, we had the cranky blowhard Mrs. Burke on our last episode. Now this wrinkled old sourpuss. She's not on welfare. She pays her taxes, and she wants him to show her some results as she holds her little dog.
I almost thought these two were related. I thought that like these were sister pairs.
Yeah. Well, what do you do when an old lady's yelling at you and pays her taxes? You put on your hazmat suit like Dawn does, and you climb down in the sewer. And man, I hope you guys agree with me. The cinematography down in these sewers is awesome. It's realistic. It's atmospheric. High attention to detail, like on the walls. I thought everything they do underground looks amazing.
I thought it was a sewer, so that's my highest compliment.
Yeah, like I'd be wondering if this is something J.P. Simon built on his Madrid soundstage. If he did, kudos. But otherwise, if they actually let him go down into some sewer, it looked great.
Yeah,
really, really good. And they lit it great. Like you could just feel like the slime on the walls, and the lighting seemed natural without forced. It's gotta be fucking dark down there, but they made it seem like, I really like the way it looked down there.
Well, to me, my problem with it was like, you're implying that this is her sewer, but I was like, I don't know, just. It's basically, it's, like they just, which they implied in the beginning, oh, the sewer empties out here. But I was like, he's over there to clean her sewer pipe. So basically, it's just raw sewage is pouring out into this tunnel.
Yeah.
But I was like, well, there's no water flow. What's washing it away?
That'll be enough out of you, Yakboy.
Yeah, I mean. Enough of this engineering talk.
You know what? I got one word answer for that. Slugs.
Slugs.
Well, it's weird because where we grow up, there's a sewer out that's like in your backyard. Like it goes to the street. Like you don't have to go down underground into like some stuff. Like it's just they just snake it from like the end of your street. Like there's no that's kind of like a northern thing, I think.
I think so, or at least where the old sewers are.
Yeah. Well, Dawn begins to pull all sorts of normal crap out of Miss Fortune's sewer line with this metal hook. But suddenly he starts pulling the skins of dead animals out. And then as he kind of looks at that weird, a force from deep within the pipe grabs his metal hook and pulls it away from him, and he runs the hell out of there. Who wouldn't?
Exactly.
But yet he doesn't go to file a report like, I just lost my giant metal hook.
Yeah, that wasn't raccoons. Sewer raccoons.
Those damn sewer trash pandas.
That might be
sewer pandas.
I'm gonna make a horror movie. Sewer raccoons.
And then the chuds came for me.
It's always the chuds with you. Boy, the strength on the cigar, as far as not on the retrohale, but the body of the cigar, the strength has kind of picked up for me towards the end of the first third. It's got a little bolder, that woodsiness, and there's kind of an earthiness that's been growing. I'm getting a little more strength on the draw. It's nice. You guys getting that?
Yeah, I've still got a nice balance between the woodsy cedar and the leather going on. I haven't quite gotten into the earth stuff, but yeah, it's definitely.
It's right there with it's kind of growing towards the end of the first third with that leather and cedar and like most tatuajes, that spice is not going anywhere on the nose. I am having to space it out with this beer though. This beer was a bad choice. You live, you learn. You know, after 125 episodes, you think I would have learned.
No.
Maybe by episode 250, I'll figure this thing out. Are your beers working okay with it?
Oh yeah, I look forward to revisiting this and rediscovering it next year.
I can't wait to hear your thoughts then as well. Yax, how's the Murphy's playing with it?
Murphy's is fantastic.
I thought it might be. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm quite jealous, envious.
Yeah, me too. That's what I should have done.
Every time I open up these delicious cans with this little widget, just a blast of nitrogen.
Oh yeah. Blast of nitrogen.
You don't see the widget in a lot of craft beers, do you?
Well, not a. I mean, it just depends if that beer is going to have if they're using nitrogen for it.
No, but I'm just saying as a whole, I can't think of a Texas craft beer or because that's what we primarily feature. But you just don't see the widget used in a lot of craft beers. Seems like it's mainly the English stuff, the Boddingtons, the Guinness, the Murphys.
Well, like I said, I mean, majority of those are being served on nitrogen.
Yeah,
and so besides being brewed that way, you want to add that little bit extra of it when you open the can. So
I love the widget. I always like the widget. Okay. Well, over at the high school, Kim Brady has dismissed. Can you imagine having this chick as your teacher? Oh man,
really couldn't. Not after seeing her in her.
Give me something to write on, man.
Woo. Class dismissed. Oh wait, she does dismiss her. She does dismiss her class. Kim dismisses her English class, and guess who's waiting outside for all the cute chicks to come out as the lunch bell rings? I'll give you a clue. He's leaning on his muscle car in a white tank top, smoking a cigarette. Yeah. No, it's not me, you silly gooses. It's Bobby, the guy from the opening scene.
Oh yeah, Bobby.
The super cool rebel that called Ron Bell a scumbag and almost ran him over for fun. That guy. That Bobby. I can see how you guys got confused.
We call him Bad News Bobby. That's right.
Such a badass. I related to this guy. Well, a chick runs right over to Bobby and they start devouring each other's faces right there in the parking lot. And then we cut to Mike Brady watching them make out from his car.
And the biggest creeper scene ever.
As he smiles and kind of gives us, the audience, yeah, that's hot kind of look. What was that about? It doesn't. It was the most weird, unnecessary cutaway shot in the history we've ever had on the show.
It was just like,
because that's not like has anything to do with his character. He's not a creep. He's not like, but dude, they just had this weird shot where he's watching them make out. He's like, oh yeah, that's hot. What the hell? Again, I think foreign director, maybe some lines got crossed. I'm glad you guys picked up on that. It wasn't just me, though.
No, it was one of those where it's just Much like the score for them driving up in the cop car is just sort of a head scratching moment.
Yeah,
Like,
there's just a lot of stuff in this movie that's like, that makes no sense. And you're like, oh, wait, slugs.
slugs.
And I think probably the guy playing Mike Brady was probably like, are you sure you want me to do this? It doesn't really feel in sync with my character.
Do it.
And then he was
Do
like,
it, Dulcimo.
then he looked down at his check, and in the comment line it says slugs. He was like, oh yeah. Do you guys recognize him at all, Mike Brady?
I don't. I didn't recognize anybody.
Nope.
The only one you might recognize is Mike Brady, and that's because he was one of the main in the movie The Warriors. He was one of the main gang members in The Rogues, who were the main guys that try to take down the Warriors. David Patrick Kelly, is that his name? The
Now I need to get 3 bottles and start clicking them together.
Come out and play. He was one of the main dudes in that gang. I just recognized his face enough to look him up, and sure enough, he was in The Warriors.
Yeah, I didn't recognize him.
And he
Good eye.
He spun that success into slugs.
Slugs. Can you dig it?
I was at the Warriors, damn it.
Dude, I'm at the liquor store with my 9-year-old daughter. She had off for Columbus Day this week. She's like, so what are we doing today? I'm off from school. I'm like, we're going to the liquor store. I got to find a slug beer. She's like, oh, yay. So we get to the liquor store, and I'm like, all right, you start on that end. I try to make it fun for her. I'm like, you start over there. I'll start over here. I need you to look at all the beers, and anything that looks like that has anything to do with sewers or slugs, that's what we're looking for. And she's like, why would someone make a slug beer? Or would you drink a sewer beer? I'm like, look, just come on, work with me here, babe. Come on. I think she had fun.
Oh, yeah.
Slugs. Well, Mike takes Kim out to lunch at the same diner that Bobby and the cool kids go to. Bobby's telling them some real evil must have gotten hold of that mean old drunk Ron Bell. But a girl at the table swears it was the goat killer. She says the goat killer has been coming down from the hills, killing people for years, and then he eats them. Now, this theory certainly perked up my ears. Maybe not you, Tut. Did the slugs get Tut?
They did. He tried to scream, but they had already severed his vocal cords. Oh, wait, no. There it is.
Tut.
Yeah.
The goat killer thing probably didn't resonate with you at all, but I would hope, as a fellow local boy, yak boy, did this perk your ears up, the mentioning of the goat killer?
Yes, it did.
In our hometown, ladies and gentlemen, we had a legend known as the Goat Man who lived on the outskirts of town. He had one human leg and one hoof, goat hoof. He wore a bell around his neck, and he would come out and harm children. And one night, as a middle schooler, I was privy to be taken out in a muscle car, much like Bobby's, and we set a trap for the Goat Man with some older high school kids. And he was real. Yeah, boy, you know what I'm talking about, the Goat Man?
Yeah.
We didn't call him the Goat Killer. We gave him a little bit of respect, the Goat Man.
Was not a chupacabra.
No, he actually had a house and paid bills and stuff. He just had a goat leg, and he wore a bell around his neck. Did you ever see him?
No, I didn't.
No.
If he had a house and paid bills, did you just look up in the tax records and just go to the house?
You want middle school kids to go down to City Hall and look up tax records for the Goat Man?
Bill
Yes.
Goatman.
I kind of want to see this.
It was a real thing, and everybody in town knew about the Goat Man, and it was. I think he might still be out there.
Fantastic.
Ka-ting, 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 ka-ting.
He did make goat sounds too. Meh. You know who's not an urban legend, boys?
Who is?
That's right, Tut. I'm talking about Pappy Van Winkle. He's not an urban legend. He actually existed.
Yeah, we're not talking an urban legend like Rip Van Winkle.
No, Pappy Van Winkle. He was a real dude, and as a tribute to one of the most legendary names in American bourbon history, the cigar-making wizards over at Drew Estate, I'm looking at you, Willie Herrera, have concocted a very special cigar in his honor. The Pappy Van Winkle Family Reserve barrel-fermented cigar is a long-filler premium cigar rolled in limited quantities at La Gran Fabrica, Drew Estate, in Esteli, Nicaragua. Deep barrel fermentation is the key process that makes this expression vastly different from anything else on the market. Hand-selected leaves from Kentucky are packed into small torquettes, which are then loaded strategically into oak bourbon barrels. Water is then added, while immense pressure is applied to the torquettes via railroad jacks. The tobacco is removed 2-3 times per year, shaken out, then repacked. The total process of fermentation takes 12 to 18 months, leaving a truly unique flavor profile and aroma. The Pappy Van Winkle's Family Reserve Barrel Fermented is now available at brick-and-mortar Drew Diplomat retailers everywhere. Seek them out. Woohoo! Woohoo! Where were we? Oh, yes, it's lunchtime. So we now check in on Drunk Wife, who's come home from the grocery store. And no surprise here, she chooses to have a giant bottle of fucking wine for lunch. Me style. It's a thing. It's a thing.
I love how much she is into her character.
And what's up with the maroon varsity jacket she's wearing that just says cheerleader on the back?
Cheerleader. Well, I guess they have to identify what she has been.
Again, I think that's a foreign director. Like, oh, hot American wife. I bet she would wear this. Like,
but it's funny you say that, and in a lot of cases in these little bitty, vignettes, it's accurate. You could tell that it was somebody looking through the lens of a foreign culture, saying this is what America is. But they get so many things right, like the vehicles. It was all timely. The architecture was timely. The fashion was timely, except for this cheerleader deal. But most of it, because like even with all the ADR, I didn't make the connection that this was a Spanish guy shot in a Madrid studio. Because I was just like, there was something that was off that made me think that this is probably a foreign production. I was thinking Italian sleaze. Yeah. But I was like, man, they got a lot of the stuff right.
They did, and some of it was shot in upstate New York. So it was a code there. Some stuff is actually shot here in the States. Some stuff was done over there. Some stuff was done in English. Some stuff was dubbed. It's kind of a hodgepodge of different things. I'm just guessing. Maybe he thought that despite that she's clearly in her like early 30s, she was a high school cheerleader, and now she hasn't accomplished anything else, so she still wears that jacket as like a source of pride.
Maybe. I mean, look at the whole pink phenomenon. Let's just put words on the stuff.
Like he doesn't know that like nobody wears their varsity jackets beyond their varsity or high school, but
Uncle Rico and that quarterback for the Jacksonville Jaguars still wears their varsity jacket.
Uncle Rico and Drunk Mom. There we go.
That's a pair.
Well, Drunk Wife, not Drunk Mom. Drunk Wife tosses the head of lettuce she brought home from the store into the sink and heads off to the living room to watch cop shows and get blitzed all afternoon. Really like Drunk Wife. But we see the head of lettuce in the sink start to move a little bit.
Uh-oh.
Slugs. There's slugs. There's slugs. We now join Harold and Jean Morris over at the Ashton Nursery, where Jean is none too pleased about finding slug eggs all over a large portion of their plants. She orders her husband to take care of them, despite him begging her to get off his back about shit. Yeah, she gets more like her damn mother every day, grumbles. Remember that crazy ass nosebleed scene in Children of the Corn 2?
Yeah.
Last episode? We all love that scene. And I think here comes this film's master stroke and crazy as shit, unique as hell bloodshedding. As Harold inexplicably brings a humongous canister of gasoline into the nursery, we watch as a humongous black slug crawls into his work gloves. Harold then proceeds to slide on the gloves, and the slug bites down on his hand hard, and it won't let go. Harold bashes his hand over and over again against the table, but it's still no luck. He tries to cut the glove off with some hedge clippers, but the gloves are too thick, and that doesn't work. During all this, he's freaking out, and he accidentally pulls a 6-foot-high shelf full of potted plants down on top of himself as he's spinning around wildly in pain. His wife, Jean, by the way, she can't hear any of this commotion as she's vacuuming inside the house. We go back out to the nursery where Harold has grabbed an axe and begun hacking away at his wrist with blood bubbling out all over the place. Dude, this went from, oh shit, there's something in my glove. Under a minute, he's chopping off his own hand.
That's some terrible
At least we
pain.
can say this. This man is decisive. I've tried everything except removing my hand. You know what? Help's not coming.
Hey, this is what's hurting me. Nothing else is working. I'll get rid of this. I got
would
another
think that
hand.
there might be some other implement that could remove that glove. That glove.
What about tightening the fingertips in a vise and trying to pull it out that way? Why would he have a vise in a nursery though? That makes no sense.
Why did he have the gas can in the big?
Why did he have a
nursery?
64-gallon thing of gas that he just drug in there?
My other question is why didn't if you're willing to hack off your own hand, why didn't you just flip the hatchet around and just pound your hand into oblivion?
I don't know, because we've seen that when these slugs are smashed with stuff, they die. We'll see that. We'll see that a little bit later. I don't know why this slug was just relentless, but it was. Well, his wife, Jean, finally hears Harold screams of agony. And when she goes out in the nursery, she can't believe her eyes. Her husband, she was just out there 2 minutes ago and everything was fine. Everything is collapsed. There's fumes coming from the ground from this chemicals that he knocked over. Her husband's hand is severed at the wrist, blood shooting out everywhere. He's screaming. And just as she races over to help him, those highly flammable gardening chemicals that he spilled started an electrical fire. And when that reaches the giant jug of gasoline he just brought inside, of course, the entire nursery goes up in a giant ball of flames. And I'll say this, it was a very impressive explosion. And they were so smart to cut away from it in time, just fast enough, where I couldn't tell. I was like, did they just blow up a house? It looked great.
That's what started to confuse me. I mean, even in the beginning, I'm like, you know what? There's some production value here.
There really is. Between the sewer stuff.
This was like, I don't know, like you just said, all of a sudden, boom, they blew up a house. But then I was like, wait a second, it looked like a real house.
It did, and I rewound it, and I rewound it, and I was like, man, that could be a little model house, but if it is, they did a damn good job, because there's another house in the distance behind it. There's telephone wires. I'm like, surely they didn't blow up an entire nursery and house for this movie, Slugs. But dude, that was, as a kid, I got a VHS tape, The Making of Return of the Jedi. And it was before DVD, it was in the 80s. But that was one of George Lucas's big tips. I wanted to make movies, and I was writing down everything these guys would say. And George Lucas was like, always don't ever dwell. I know you put months into building this Sarlacc pit, for Jabba the Hutt, or this, this skiff, or this creature. These craftsmen spend so much time building these things, but the worst thing you can do as a filmmaker is to linger on it because you're so proud of it. Get the hell out of there. Just show the skiff for a second, show the Sarlacc pit, and then cut, because the longer you hang on it, the more people are going to realize it's fake as shit.
Yeah.
And this guy does a good job of that. Whenever there's like the hands spewing blood or the house blowing up, he cuts and moves on. That's good. That's really good. Well, Mike Brady arrives home in his station wagon, just like the original Mike Brady did every day after a long days of work at the architecture firm. Dude, we're not that far at 88 removed from the Brady Bunch. You can't name your main dude Mike Brady and have him drive a station wagon.
That's how they know he's American. His name is Mike Brady.
I'm just going to name him after another famous entertainment character from the United States. Okay. He finds his wife,
Welcome
Kim.
to our new main character, Han Solo.
Yeah. Deputy Mayor Han Solo. Mike finds his wife, Kim, gardening out in the front lawn. She tells him about Harold and Jean Morris dying. Dude, this is another great thing. Oh, geez. They were nice people. I like them. There's just some weird... and he's an American saying that shit, and it sounded weird. But this highly emotional moment is interrupted the second Mike sees slime trails in Kim's garden. No, yaks, that's not a euphemism.
It probably is.
I'd like to see slime trails in her garden. Hey, Tut, keep it clean. This is a PG-13 podcast, pal.
Slugs.
He's been seeing these damn slime trails all over town as he was inspecting new houses that are being built. And then Kim's like, oh, it's funny you say that. I just saw the world's biggest slug. Look at that. He can't believe his eyes. Big? He's like, you crazy bitch. That's crazy. He's like, look at that. He reaches down to grab the slug and it bites his finger. And that's a cool shot. You actually see the slug like hiss at him.
Teeth.
Yeah, his teeth.
The slug has teeth. It has a mouth, like an actual like cheetah mouth.
What kind of slug bites humans? He asks his wife, but she's an English teacher, not a science teacher. She doesn't know what the hell, but she might know someone who does know. She brings Mike a glass jar, which he uses to scoop the slugs up in, and the married couple races off to the high school. Dude, this music. He doesn't explain why it's important that they race off. He doesn't explain what the hell's going on, but she tears off her clothes, and they just start huffing and racing. But first, across town at Drunk Wife's house, her husband, David, is pulling in the driveway after work. And he honks a few times to give her a heads up that she's got about 30 seconds to wake up, peel herself off the couch, hide the booze, and act like she's cooking dinner. It's a daily routine.
I love they have their daily routine.
I get a feeling this is the routine, and they're both very comfortable with it. So she does all those things, and he comes in the kitchen as she's frantically chopping the head of lettuce. Just making dinner. That's what I've been doing.
That's right, honey.
As she chops that lettuce, though, we can see that one of those slugs is in the middle. She's chopping that slug into that salad, too. David's disappointed they're having salad for dinner. Who wouldn't be? I was hoping for some steak. Oh, we've been eating too much red meat, big boy, she says. But maybe I'll give you your dessert beforehand. And all of a sudden, his mood and his trouser slug both perk up. That doesn't sound very erotic, does it?
No.
Trouser slugs.
Slugs.
Oh, but he says, well, dessert, I'd settle for some wild hors d'oeuvres. Again, weird stuff Americans would never say. So they start making out. God, I love the dialogue in this film. It's just, I'd love to get a glimpse of what other countries think we're like. I think this film does kind of a real 1988 kind of time capsule crazy look at us.
Okay.
Over at Ashton High School, Mike Brady squeals the station wagon. He's 100 miles an hour with this jar of slugs, peels into the high school parking lot, and him and Kim sprint out of the car carrying the mason jar with the slugs in it. The music is racing, it's pulsing, it's pounding along too. And at no point has his wife, Kim, asked her husband why he just drove 100 miles per hour across town to bring this abnormally large slug over here. Nope. She's just frantically running around with him everywhere, zero questions asked, like that would ever happen. She's going along with her husband. She believes in whatever he's doing.
There should have at least been some. Mike, what are you doing? You just ran over a homeless guy. Quiet.
Shut up. I got to get these slugs to the high school. They barge into the biology laboratory where her colleague, I wish the doctor was here, John Foley, is fortunately working late. The biology professor, played by a Spanish guy with a dubbed Austin Powers British accent. Why? Because it fucking works. That's why. Puts one of the slugs in a petri dish and gives them a brief science lesson on slugs. No books. He just knows all about slugs. He starts telling them everything. Professor John says that they use their 4 rows of teeth, yaks, they all have teeth, to grind up leafy greens. But Mike wants to know, do they ever eat meat? I beg your pardon. Hey, that's pretty good. English accent. Usually my English accent sounds Australian.
I beg your pardon.
I beg your pardon? No, but I beg your pardon. John says, there are some species that do eat tiny worms and insects, but you have to keep in mind, Mike, most slugs are the size of your thumbnail.
Nicole Kidman.
And just like that, Mike's like, all right, let's go. And him and Kim leave. He tells Professor John, I'll call you tomorrow. He just ran every red light to take these slugs over there and whatever. Okay.
Doc, you said that they're all the size of your thumbnail, but what about that 7-inch bad boy right there? Well, we call that the trouser slug.
Yeah, baby. It's a trouser slug, baby.
Yeah.
Yeah. Trouser slug is my middle name. We then join drunk wife post-coitus as she comes down the stairs.
Aww.
Now wearing only a skimpy negligee.
Yeah,
I kind of wish we'd seen some more of that too, Todd. She apologizes to David for being such a bitch all the time.
Uh-oh.
That's not me saying that. She says that.
No, I know that.
She knows. Not letting our listeners know that. I'm not calling her.
Okay.
I had no problems with drunk wife. I thought she kind of was a fun chick. She knows that her drinking's been getting the upper hand on her lately, and she thinks it's time. She thinks it's time for her to start seeing somebody about it. Keep in mind, as she's saying this, she's holding a drink. Guys, I've noticed my drinking's been getting the upper hand of me lately. Hold on. I think, that was good. I think I might need to start seeing somebody about it.
I'm not saying I can't relate to drunk wife. I'm just saying they got some things accurate.
David can't believe his ears. Yes, drunk wife.
I'm surprised you didn't have like a retort, like, really? Like another bartender?
But he does say, are you serious? Yeah, I mean, you love being drunk wife. And she says, I just can't risk losing you. And he's like, oh, you're not going to lose me. To which if I'm drunk wife, I'm like, well, fucking A then. I guess we're good.
Yeah, let me put my cheerleader shirt back on and
take another round. Let's do this.
Cue the Fritz song. Let's go.
Yeah. Well, that tender moment, or in Spanish, it's moment, is ruined when David starts to have some severe stomach cramps that they blame on the anchovies drunk wife put in their dinner salad.
And here's where I'm like, uh-oh. In this momento, that's actually Spanish for moment. It's momento.
Well, I'm sitting here going,
like,
how would you?
Well, I'm just like, uh-oh. She's reconciling her wild ways, expressing her love and devotion.
Yeah.
Oh, this couple's toast. They're toast.
Well, you got to admit, if he dies from this salad, this anchovy salad that she made him drunk, that's only going to lead her to drink more.
Yeah, yeah.
My God, the guilt alone is drunk mom, and she's not going to be fun drunk wife anymore. She's going to be like sad drunk wife.
That's the thing, is that we're losing fun drunk wife, and it will be bitter drunk wife.
Yeah, and later on, we're gonna hear word that drunk wife is now sad drunk wife, and that made me sad. She's wearing her cheerleader varsity jacket on inside out.
Oh man.
Yeah, I don't want to see that either, guys.
Nobody needs to go there.
Well, he says usually he loves the anchovies, but I'll be okay. She wants to call a doctor, but he says he's fine. She urges him to go to bed, but he has to go over some of his very important business contracts one last time as he's meeting the Calgore Corporation representatives to finalize the new shopping center deal tomorrow. You guys ever eat anchovies?
No,
Yes.
you're disgusting.
I would have predicted that. I would have said Tut no, Yak Boy yes.
Why? Because he's far more adventurous than I am. Maybe I just don't like anchovies.
I've had them on some Caesar salads,
Oh yeah.
but I've never like had them on pizza or anything else.
No, I've had them on pizza too. And I will honestly say,
Were they good?
acquired taste, I did not acquire it. The salad is fine because I mean it works well with.
It works well with the blue cheese and in the Caesar dressing. Like it works okay.
But like actually putting it on pizza, I have tried it many times and I've never.
But Tut, you're over there barfing, dry heaving. But have you ever tried them?
No.
Well, have you ever had a Caesar salad that had it in the dressing?
In the words of Jules, sewer might taste like pumpkin pie, but I wouldn't know because I wouldn't eat the filthy motherfucker.
You had it before. You just know it.
They're just little fish, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Typically, you know, it's like a
Nope.
it's like a dried sardine.
Nope.
Yeah. Or as the Spanish say, sardini.
I think
That's Italian.
No.
That's Italian. I think Spanish is El Sardinos.
I think that's right. El Sardinos.
El Sardinos. Guys, I'm about halfway through the cigar. Where are you at?
Right about halfway, almost getting into the final third.
Yeah, I'm about to the third.
Leather has overtaken the cedar for me. Leather is the dominant, smooth, very. Excuse me. I say smooth as it launches me into this giant sneezing fit. Really smooth, kind of medium leather on the draw. The cedar's kind of taking a back seat. I am getting that under level earthiness right underneath it. Pepper still on the nose. I think the strength is even a little bit more pronounced in the retrohale and the body in the second half. Man, this is a really cool little cigar. I like it.
I really liked how the strength picked up there. It really kind of become, it's like medium strength, but the flavor, it's not quite full flavor, but it's pretty close. I mean,
it's close to full. Yeah.
It is not, it's a nice little flavor bomb. And I really kind of appreciate that. Yeah, I'm still hanging in on that cedar though. I haven't transitioned fully into full blown leather. That pepper on that note, it's a really nice retrohale. I really kind of like it.
I love Pete's retrohales because that pepper is kind of always there. That's kind of his trademark, and I do like how it fluctuates. It definitely is ramped up here in the middle portion.
I like how it's an approachable retrohale too.
Oh, it is too. It's not, yeah. But I would definitely put this at medium, bordering on medium full strength, but it's still keeping in the medium lines, even with that pepper. But man, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to give it full body.
Are you?
It
wouldn't take much to push me to full.
Between the cedar, the leather, and I am getting that earthy component. Yeah, and construction has been awesome.
I've had to relight a couple of mine, but it's a little bit hot out here, so I had to put on a fan, and it's blowing directly on me. So that's my fault. That's not anything to this.
Yeah, I've had to relight just because I've been running my mouth. But Yax, are you on board with all this?
I am, absolutely. I do like it. I like that, like the leather component. That's, especially for me right now, that's the number one dominant flavor right now. That pepper on the retrohale is still there. It has picked up. I don't think it's picked up as much in terms of strength. It getting towards halfway, it doubled, and then for me, I would say it just stayed right there. I haven't noted anything else getting towards that lower third. So I don't know. I'm hoping, maybe hearing that last third, that pepper, something will transition.
Yeah, I'm curious to see where this goes in the final third, because kind of like the transition from the first to the second. Let's see how this thing ends. I'll check back here in just a little bit. Well, the moon is now high in the sky, so you know damn well that teenage rebel Bobby is on the prowl for some pie. Hey, that rhymed.
Yeah,
It did.
Yeah, dude.
It-
Apparently, I write really inappropriate poetry now, so I guess I can add that to my ever-growing list of completely useless things on my resume. Sad, worthless talents.
Oh, I don't know. I think he captured the esprit de corps of young Bobby here.
Yeah,
The only thing missing in this scene was the Wolfman Jack on the radio.
yeah, that would have been something. I'm glad you think these things I do aren't sad and worthless, Tut. That means something.
No, I got you out there, you little young horn dogs. You're listening to the rock and roll. You're chasing the spirits. You got the poontang on your mind, and the Wolfman Jack is here to deliver.
Well, they should have had that on because he's hanging out in his car. He's hiding behind crouching down in the driver's seat. He's chugging beers and making mean faces at this elderly couple as they leave their home for the night. Come on, move it, you old farts.
Why does he really hate old people?
At least he's not running them down like he did earlier. And the second they pull out of the driveway, Bobby's pulling into this chick's love garage.
Oh, now we know why he hates them and wants them to go.
Yeah, his girlfriend's in there. Did I just say he pulled into her love garage?
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
Did. You totally did.
I guess-
Slugs.
I guess I am kind of the
Look at you with your fancy words like love garage. It's a love hole.
Would you guys
All right,
say
it's a little Homer Simpson reference there.
No,
Don't hate me.
I got the most of the slack there. Would you guys say that I'm the Jim Morrison of cigar podcasts?
You would never hear me say that, Kate.
Yax, will you say it?
Well, you did have the skin tight leather pants.
I'm wearing them right now. I can't get them off.
You know what?
Do you have a
I'm
belly
gonna
full of
recant- I'm going to
boots?
recant that. I'm going to say you are the Jim Morrison of podcast. You're the fucking Lizard King of cigar podcasts.
All right.
And if you're not, I mean, at least you're the slug of cigar podcast.
Well, look who I'm competing against. I mean, it's kind of easy to be the cool dude amongst these peers.
Oh, are you going to start a war with cigar podcasters? We like cigar podcasts.
I don't know. I don't really listen to many of them, but I'm sure they're nice guys. But Jim Morrison wouldn't say that. Slugs. People are slugs when you're a slug. All right. Let's stop whatever this is right in its slimy tracks, shall we?
Yeah. Moving on.
His girlfriend flashes the porch light a few times to give Bobby the coast is clear signal, and he is inside and sweeping her off her feet seconds later.
It's go time.
As they swap spit, he carries her down to the basement. But once he sees her father's super awesome home bar. By the way, this teenage girl's father was 90 years old. Like, these people walking out of the house were elderly. Like,
hey, you know, Charlie Chapman fathered a child at 72.
just throwing that out there.
Grandparents.
Once he sees this awesome home bar down there, he dumps her ass off on the counter and pours himself some Jack Daniels. You want one, he asks, after he's already had two, style. I love
And the
that.
funny thing is she is good to go.
Oh,
she is like
she's
ready.
revved up.
There is no way you can mistake these signs. She is ready to go, and
She is
then
re-
all
she
of
is-
that puts the brakes on as soon as he sees
She
that.
is revved up, and
Jack
all
Daniel
he is
bar.
revved up to do is drink. He is just, dude. She's sitting there, and as he's drinking, she just keeps removing more clothing. You sure you don't want one? No, Bobby, I want something else. Okay. Bobby.
I think I texted you at this scene. I was like, "Is it sad that I just saw me in my 20s?"
Yeah. I told him, I was like, dude, the slugs would never get me because I would have never left that basement bar. It's a sweet ass bar. No, Bobby, I don't want to drink. You know what I want, she says frustratingly as she removes her top. So Bobby begrudgingly puts down the whiskey and starts fooling around with her again. He takes her up to the bedroom where he starts
slugging away at her.
Plowing her, I guess would be accurate. We see his naked ass just
going to town.
Plowing her.
Going to town.
But before either of them can climax,
I actually thought I heard her crying. And again, I was like, this is like me in my 20s. I have to apologize for anybody I dated from 18 to 28.
I have to apologize to anybody I dated back in high school. I have to apologize to their father's liquor cabinets. Yeah, you know what? I realized these actors were well of age and in their early 20s, but it is always odd for me as I'm writing my notes to describe teenage sex scenes because I'm like, I don't want to like.
You don't want to be like Mike Brady in the station wagon looking over there.
Uh-huh.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Look at it. No. But I mean,
where's the doctor with his Dreyfus mask? Yeah.
Well, as they're doing it, Bobby runs out of stamina, so he reaches for the bottle of Jack Daniels on the nightstand. What's wrong? She asks, pissed off and completely unsatisfied. Nothing, babe. I just need to recharge my batteries, he says. She starts needling his nerves some more about his drinking problem. I said I just need a break, all right? He's got whiskey dick. He can't finish. So he rolls off the bed, but a slug immediately bites into his foot. Bobby screams out in pain, and when she freaks out and gets out of bed, she slips and falls as the bedroom floor is now completely covered in hundreds of black, slimy slugs. Those little bastards. They quickly infest the girl, penetrating her in ways that Bobby's limp, flaccid whiskey dick could only dream about. Too far?
Too far. It was kind of accurate.
Jim Morrison didn't know the meaning of too far. Dude, but he went out in the desert and took peyote and wrote like these epic poems. I'm writing about Bobby's whiskey dick banging some Spanish actress in a slug movie. I'm not the Jim Morrison podcast. I'm a joke.
You're the slug king of podcasts.
I'm the Sammy Hagar of podcasts.
Hey, the Red Rocker had merit, man.
Thanks, Todd. She's got slugs crawling out of her back, her cheeks. They're slamming out of her cheeks. There's a really cool effect where one is hanging out of her eye socket. My God.
It actually looks good.
It does. The practical effects here are on fire, man. This is 1988. This is when horror movies you had to step it up. Whether you were the big leagues, Halloweens, the Nightmare on Elm Streets, the Jasons, they were competing against each other to have the most gruesome practical effects. But if you're just some outside competitor, forget Hellraiser, forget Jason. I'm coming here with slugs. I better bring it. And this dude brings it.
Here's how I know where y'all are getting to me, because any other time I would have been like, oh, heck no, I'm out of here. Nope, not doing this. And now I'm like, oh, heck no, I'm out. Oh, that looks good. Yeah.
Dude, that slug hanging out of her eye socket looked wonderful.
But I will say this: if I were in young what's his name's Bobby's shoes, I would just been on that bed with that Jack Daniels. Too far gone for me. Nope.
Well, he's really drunk and he's a kid, so he's not as lackadaisical and he hasn't given up on everything in life like we have. He freaks the fuck out. He tries naked to reach across the room. First, he tries to help her, but then like a slug gets on his hand. He's like, no, I'm not doing that. Nope. Then he tries to reach across the room to a nearby window but he slips because remember, he's drunk.
And the slugs are slimy.
The slugs devour him. Sayonara, Bobby, and that girl we never learned her name. Dude, she's been in 2 scenes, and this whole scene, they never say her name. I don't know what the hell her name is. Am I the only one who would love to see a Bobby drunk wife road trip movie?
No,
Yes.
no, I can't.
He hooks up with drunk wife, and they just take off in his muscle car and get into adventure. They get into a ton of adventures.
Bobby would have been unkind to drunk wife, and I couldn't handle that.
No, I think she would have ground him to a bloody stump. He can't keep up with drunk wife. If he can't satisfy a teenage girl, how the hell is he going to satisfy drunk wife?
So it would be kind of like what's his name, Stone's Natural Born Killers, except it's like Bobby and drunk wife just raising hell across the Midwest.
I didn't see really raising hell. I just like really making a scene at a lot of small town local bars.
Going into some bars and Barnes and Nobles, and just living it up.
Well, they didn't have Barnes and Nobles back then. Walden Books.
Some Hastings.
But just like checking in hotels, going down to the lounge and just like getting shit faced and like causing a scene, and then they go up to the room and she's just completely unhappy with how things turn out, and
ends up with a bartender later that night.
She ends up with a bartender. He ends up running down some old dude in the parking lot because that's the only way he can get an erection. This could be a movie, guys. This could be the movie. Slugs 2.
Bobby's Boogaloo.
Bobby's Boogaloo. Drunk wife's revenge.
That's Slugs 3. Come on, let's milk this.
We can make it. I'm liking this. I see some potential. I'll write that script tomorrow as soon as I talk to that person about my drinking. Give me a sec. Back at Ashton High, Professor John is pulling an all-nighter. These super slugs have him baffled. As he slices one of the suckers open and begins examining it under a microscope. Was that a petri dish he put it on, Yax?
Yes, it is.
I thought so. That's what scientists use. Another slug slips out of the mason jar and attacks a poor gerbil.
Oh, man.
Don has nearby, savagely killing it. It like attaches itself to it, it rides it, and it just
I think it did unnatural things to it.
Oh, I think it was doing a lot of stuff to it. Stuff that Bobby is incapable of doing to a woman. That's how
disgusting.
Boy, that's got to suck for Bobby. Like, dude, you can't get it up. This slug is doing more to this gerbil than you did to that Todd chick.
Ugh.
Professor John has never seen any shit like this before. The next morning, Mike Brady joins Sheriff Reese and Popeye the Coroner man over at the... You got to go back and look at this guy. He looks just like Popeye. Over at the house where Bobby and What's-Her-Face got killed. They're just teenage skeletons now. Everything's gone. Like, blame this on raccoons, Sheriff Reese. Mike tells the sheriff, I know it sounds crazy, but I believe we're dealing with a type of mutant slug that eats meat here, Sheriff. And the sheriff laughs it off. Killer slugs, Mike? Ah, for Christ's sake. What'll be next? Demented crickets? Get the hell out of here. Leave the mystery solving to me. At least he's got a theory.
Well, if his roving pack of vicious dogs,
Yeah,
he has apparently been out looking for them.
You think somebody would have seen these raccoons or dogs? I mean, they have to hide somewhere. Yeah, I hate this. I hate the sheriff.
He's not fun.
No, he does not know how to party. When he arrives back at his office, Don Palmer calls Mike and he tells him that his workers have found half-eaten chickens, rats, cats, and even a large dog down the sewers. And that's all Mike needs to hear before racing over there. Don sits Mike down. You're going to need to sit down for this. And he lays it out for him with this map of the sewer system. He discovered that in the
my God.
What?
I'm sorry. I actually went back, found the scene, and it's Popeye the Corner Man.
It is. It's Popeye. He even has bulging forearms. Which you would need to carry those stretchers, I guess, but still. Yeah.
Well, maybe the director just has a love of the Sailor Man.
This
and he's
is
like,
what,
I gotta incorporate that into Slug.
No, it was just some Spanish actor that he got, and here's what happens, boys, when you have to watch the movie 3 fucking times to do the show. You guys glimpse over it. I actually start seeing this crazy shit. There's I didn't mention in the nightclub scene earlier, I saw Tuttle from 1980 with this giant crazy mustache.
I can't believe you actually like recognized me, because I was like, there's only a few pictures of me with that mullet. And the fact that you picked that up, I was like, oh my God, it's me.
I sent you guys a screen grab. I'm like, did you guys notice this? And you're like, you have to watch this shit 3 or 4 times, which I'm pretty sure I'm the only asshole who's watched Slugs 3 or 4 times. But there's Jason Tuttle circa 1988 with a mullet and a giant mustache hanging out the nightclub. I'll put that on the episode. Well, Don lays it out for Mike. He's got this map of the sewer system. He discovered that in the 1950s and the 1960s, the entire side of town, from Ron Bell, the evicted drunk guy, his property line to the city limits, it was a toxic waste dump. And the bulldozers that had been clearing the land for the proposed shopping center must have unleashed all this madness. All that toxic waste gas, they released it, and it created whatever it is down in the sewers that's killing everybody. Don's on board. He believes Mike. Well, this is a fun scene. It's lunchtime over at the very fancy Tromboni's Italian restaurant.
Trombones,
which is surprisingly really big and fancy and packed for such a small little town like Ashton.
It's the only high class joint around. That's where the big wigs are going to hang out.
I guess. Drunk wife's husband Dave is making a toast and sealing the deal for the shopping center with the 2 Calgore executives who've flown in to finalize the contracts. But his stomach cramps and his headache from eating that slug salad are still giving him problems. Tut, wasn't Slug Salad a Frank Zappa album?
Yes, it was.
Or am I getting that wrong?
Yeah. No, I think it was like the 1979 experimental project that he did.
It was crazy, but I
have no clue.
Like most of Frank Zappa stuff, I haven't listened to it, but it sounded like a Frank Zappa album.
That is the most accurate thing ever said. Like most of Frank Zappa stuff, it was crazy. I never listened.
I like to sound smart, like I listened to Frank Zappa, but I'll be honest, I've never heard any of his songs, but it sounds like something he would do.
Absolutely.
Which, by the way, even guys who say they listen to Frank Zappa, they don't listen to that shit. They just say it to seem smart.
I think so.
Nobody's ever listened to a Frank Zappa album. Probably not. I don't know. I think my Uncle Brent might. I got an uncle who might be down with some Frank Zappa, but anyway. Well, when Dave proposes a toast to all the great things yet to come. That was a bad call.
Oh, no.
He puts his glass of scotch to his lips and blood pours out of his mouth. He screams out in pain as his nose shoots out blood, and as he collapses to the ground, his eyeballs explode, and dozens of worms begin to squirm out of his empty skull holes. I guess he should have passed on the veal.
Should have had the lasagna.
I had the lasagna. Man, the practical gore effects are so good in this movie.
They actually are.
It looks great. It looks so great. Mike gets summoned to Health Inspector Mike Brady gets summoned to Tromboni's, and the sheriff wants him to shut the restaurant down because it's obvious the worms in their food killed your buddy Dave.
My question is, I was like, I don't know how things are working in this town, but why does the sheriff need the health inspector to shut down a restaurant that a dude just had worms explode out of his eyeballs?
I need you to sign off on this, Mike. Despite the stereotypical Italian chef Ernesto proclaiming his innocence, my food has no worms. A book in the back of the room. We got no worms.
No worms.
I got no worms. Dude. It's got
so weird. It's so weird.
Got a little Chef Boyardee hat on. Oh my God, it's ridiculous.
It's like they transplanted the chef, and I know you haven't seen this, and you should see this. the chef from Caddyshack and put him into this movie. It was the exact same character.
Dude.
Dog meat.
First of all, assuming that this restaurant did have some worms in their food, that you would have to eat them and chew them up, and then they would reformulate into full worms and
Slugs.
blow out your eye sockets.
Slugs.
Well, Mike's a professional health inspector after all, so I'm not going to make any decision here. Give me at least 5 minutes, Sheriff.
Give me 5 minutes to do my damn job.
So he does what any man in his position would do. He takes the worm specimens over to the high school to let Professor John take a look at them. Shouldn't he have a microscope and do some shit over at his place?
Maybe, I don't know. Or maybe go to the college.
I don't know how that works. I don't think they have a college ton.
It's upstate New York. It's got to be close to Buffalo. Go to the University of Buffalo or something.
Slugs.
Where's the Indian archaeologist at?
Frank Red Bear?
Yeah, bring Frank Red Bear onto this thing.
Hey, that was only 4 years later. Yeah, I would have been down with Frank Red Bear showing up at Tromboni's.
Look,
Leave it to a white man to talk about slugs.
Koyana
you know how long
Scottsy.
it's going to take him out to the sacred boulder to show him the pictographs of slugs?
Koyana Scottsy. Dr. Frank Red Bear, what does that mean? Life out of balance. Is that what happened to Dave Watson? No, his wife fed him a slug salad and shit out slugs everywhere.
Bullshit. What's really going on here?
Bullshit. What is going on here? Well, Professor John, a.k.a. Austin Powers, takes a look at him under the microscope and says, ooh, these are schistosomes, blood flukes, a particularly virulent strain of parasite found in the bloodstreams of, wait for it, slugs.
Yeah, baby. Virulent rar.
Baby,
Right,
slugs.
What I couldn't figure out is at this point, like, he
Slugs.
comes running in. Look at these. Oh, by the way, the slug you left, it completely attacked the hamster and ate it. I think your theory about slugs eating meat might be onto something.
Yeah, he kind of forgot to mention that.
I did a control group where one slug was left by itself. The other slug was left with a gerbil, and it devoured the gerbil. Therefore, my control experiment says your hypothesis is correct.
Yeah, he doesn't go into any of that. He says a virulent, virulent strain of parasite. Can any of you boys tell me what virulent means?
I think it means aggressive. It transfers aggressively.
Very.
Why wouldn't that be an aggressive strain of parasite?
Because virulent sounds way more scary.
Yeah, it kind of does. Okay. Dude,
It's kind of like sand spider. Why say spider when you can say sand spider?
why did they call him that? That sounds scary. Tell me where you got these worms, Professor John demands. We got them from Dave Watson's head, Mike says. I love that line. Oh, God, there's no end to this thing, the scientist deducts. First, they're carnivorous. There's no doubt about that. And their slime produces an irritant that kills after paralyzing their victim. And on top of that, slugs are hermaphrodites, which means they can fertilize their own eggs anywhere that's dark and moist. Like the sewer, Don, the sewer manager. Oh, I forget to say, Don shows up here. Oh, like my sewers? Don asks, why, yes. As a breeding ground, that'd be perfect, baby. All right, I realize I went Australian, English, and I think I did like some Tennessee stuff there, maybe. I apologize. I'm again, if the doctor were here, he could handle all Professor John stuff. Are we? This is 88. I don't think you're allowed to call the slugs hermaphrodites anymore. I think that's a no term.
Is that? I thought that was like
No,
a
that's a
medical
scientific term.
Yeah.
No, it's like calling them he/she's.
No, that's bad. Hermaphrodite, I think, is scientific.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
It just means with possessing both organs.
Okay. So we don't have to cancel Professor John.
No, it'd be like the
man of
scientific term
science.
homosexual. You can say homosexual, but you just can't say homo.
You definitely can't say homo.
Yeah, I think I'm right here.
I don't think you can say hermaphrodite.
Wait, am I in trouble?
I think so.
No.
Let me just-
Hermaphrodite is a scientific term.
Just to be safe. Yeah, well, I have this prepared statement just for a moment like this. Just real quick, let me just throw something. The Tuesday Night Cigar Club acknowledges and strongly, virulently opposes Jason Tuttle's statements. We distance ourselves from Jason Tuttle, and we hope that he will learn from this moment.
Why are you saying my full name? Why are you saying my full name in this?
And we will give him some time to reflect on his statements, and we will address this at a later time.
I think I can say hermaphrodite. I think it is scientific.
I don't think you. I think you can call slugs hermaphrodites. I don't think you can call people that anymore.
Or would you call them asexual?
No, asexual is like you're not attracted to anything. Hermaphrodites, you got both female and male organs. Look, everything I learned about sex, I learned from a copy of 1986 Hustler magazine. I'm doing the best I can here. Just bear with me, for God's sake. Don't cancel me. Go for time. Go for time. Well, just then we cut to Ashton Farms out on the city limits, where an army of slugs has overtaken a barn full
Excuse me? In
Yes.
reproductive biology, a hermaphrodite is an organism that has complete or partial reproductive organs and produces gametes, normally associated with both male and female sexes. Scientific. Science. If you cancel me, you're canceling science.
Isn't that what everyone's doing now?
Yes, but we're not going to talk about that.
I thought that everybody didn't like science anymore.
Oh, no. We love science.
No, we do. TNCC is pro-science.
Pro science.
Yes.
Pro science.
Of course. All right, well, Tut, you're back in.
Hey, all right. You can't cancel Tut.
You can't cancel Tut. And I'm ashamed at all you bastards that tried.
Didn't you just
Slug king my ass.
And you know what? To make things easier moving forward, I'm going to edit out that little part, Yak Boy, where you gave that half-ass apology for Tut's behavior. Our audience will never even hear that.
Yeah.
No, you're right. Our audience will not hear that.
Slugs.
Slugs.
All right, I'm about to have to trash this thing.
Okay. Well,
Write
that would be a very good time then to talk about price point. Did you notice any difference in strength, flavors, anything in that final third?
No, not really. It got to that plateau, stayed there, and I'm comfortable with that. I thought that it was a nice, it didn't transition flavors, but it transitioned strength and fullness. So I'm good with that.
It really did.
It was pleasant right from the start. It was pleasant at the end. I mean, what more do you want in a cigar?
And honestly, excuse me. I'm in the final third. It's getting a little warm on my hands, so I probably am not far behind you. Cedar, leather have kind of balanced out, yin and yang in that final third. Earthiness is kind of dissipated. I loved how it showed up in the middle half. And now it's just that cedar and leather that we started with. Pepper on the nose has been consistent. Like you said, fluctuating strength from there to really there to still there. It kind of played like a really classic Tatuaje cigar.
It's interesting that you say that because, in full disclosure, I am not a Tatuaje fan. And it's not that I think that they're bad cigars. I just think that they're out of my flavor profile. They normally have been. Like when we had Pete on the show, he was talking about that cigar. I can't remember the name of it right off the hand.
Leverite.
The Leverite. And
Verite.
Verite, yeah. And he was like, this is the most traditional cigar that he's ever produced. It's not like any of the other Tatuaje cigars. And I was like floored because I actually liked it. And it was the first Tatuaje that I really liked. This is the second. I really like this cigar. It's not quite that Nicaraguan mineral earth volcanic ash that I love.
No, it's funny because for a Nicaraguan puro, I got none of the Nicaraguan mineral, those things I associate with some of my favorite Nicaraguan puros. That wasn't there. Man, it was just spice, leather, cedar, a little bit of earth, and just kind of a fluctuating experience throughout. I dug this cigar a lot.
I really did. I really appreciate this cigar.
Price point, Yak Boy.
Given what you said about its history.
Now, granted, it started out as his personal cigar. Pete spent some time down in Cuba, and there was a man who would, every morning when Pete was down there, he would kind of get up in the morning and go down for a little walk, and there was an old man on a bicycle who would ride by and give Pete one of his hand-rolled cigars. This is before Pete was Pete Johnson of Tatuaje. And he would give him a really rough kind of farm-rolled cigar out of his shirt pocket. And it wasn't the prettiest cigar. It wasn't the best cigar, but Pete really, over the time he was in Cuba, really started to like what this guy did. And he was told that, these rollers, they keep these private blends that they do just for themselves. And it's kind of an honor when one hands them to you. So he's like, as a young blender, he's like, I'm going to make something that kind of reminds me of what this guy handed me. That experience, my own personal blend. Then he started putting it out there in very limited quantities. Like I said, these really cool ceramic jars. Those went for high dollars. But now this is a regular release. You can get these. We got these from Famous Smoke Shop. You can get these highly available, the Tatuaje Black Label. Keeping all that in mind, Yak Boy, and it lasted a good while. It was a slow burning smoke. Corona Gorda lasted a long while. Solid flavors, good construction. Yak Boy.
Given, like you said, the history and everything that now, I could be wildly off. I'm going to go $9.50.
Okay. Tut.
I'm going. Oh man, I want to put this around $11.75.
The only reason I go a little higher is because that cute little cat, that little chocolate chip cap on it was really pretty, and the wrapper was just gorgeous. The presentation was really nice. Well, you're both wrong, but Yak Boy would win $10.
Oh,
it's a good price, really good price.
Yeah, and most tats are. I mean, there's some that kind of go much higher. We obviously had to pay to get the Verite because it was 2013. I had to go back and really pay for those. And the Monster series, you're paying just because they're so limited.
Yeah.
In the packaging, but yeah, $10. And remember, folks, when purchasing some fine Tatuaje premium cigars from FamousSmokeShop.com, use your new favorite promo code TNCC20 at checkout, where it will knock $20 off your purchase of $100 or more. That's 20%. And that's really cool. And Cigar Monster, Famous's discount site, often has 5 packs of Tatuaje cigars, so you can sample them on sale, free shipping, and just get that total above $100, and you can throw on TNCC 20 and use it there. Yeah, it's a good price. It's a really good price.
It is, and if you want to learn more about Pete Johnson, go to our interview with Senior Pete Johnson. Very fun interview. He did the documentary Hand Rolled.
It's one of my favorite.
It's nice talk.
It's one of my favorite interviews we've done on the show. I love talking to Pete. I wanted to talk to him a lot about his background as a musician. We got into a bunch of cigar stuff, which I always like talking about, and he was really cool, and we had a really good time talking with Pete. So yeah, definitely go check that out and check out the Tatuaje Black. It's It's a really good cigar. Okay. Well, we all enjoyed the Tatuaje Black. I have lit up a Southern Draw, Quick Draw, Connecticut.
Ooh, okay.
That'd be a kind of a smooth, mellow follow-up cigar.
Okay.
What are you lighting up, Tut?
I am going with a new find of mine called the Valakari Mark 11.
The Valakari what?
Valakari Mark 11.
Mark 11. And this is something you discovered at your local tobacconist?
At Smokers Abbey in Austin, Texas. Yeah, it's kind of an
You
interesting
messaged me
little deal.
today. You really like this Valakari blend.
San Andreas wrapper with a whole bunch of Nicaraguan goodness, binder and filler. The filler contains Ometepe, Esteli Lajero. I mean, all my good, and even the Jalapa. I mean, it's nice. But then with that, I think it's got a double San Andreas wrapper, so it's balanced, kind of nifty.
Decent price point?
Yeah, it's about $8.25 from the humidor.
Okay. All right. Well, just then, after leaving the scene over at the high school science laboratory, we cut to Ashton Farms out on the outskirts.
I'm sorry, I hate to interrupt right quick, but
Yeah.
it's one thing that I like about is that I mentioned the going to the university professor, because that seems to, like, if you need science, you go to the university.
Yeah.
But then I like the fact that this is the high school guy. This is probably the most excitement that he's gotten, all year. He hates his students. He hates grading his stupid science papers. Now he's got a mystery. It's kind of like, it reminds me of Gremlins, where that was also a high school teacher that the kid brought the little mogwai to. But then I got to thinking about it. I was like, well, that was actually a high school student going to his high school professor. To him, that guy knows all the science. This guy is like the health inspector. He should know that maybe there's better options.
No, he should have his own laboratory and do his own testing. Like, what does he do? Like if a restaurant, like if the local Burger King has some E. coli, does he take that to the high school science teacher to?
No, you ship that upstate. You give that to the University of Texas or whatever and let them do it. They come back at you.
Yeah, I do like that, because I wish the doctor was here tonight. We actually were going to write a creature feature, not necessarily to film the entire film, but we had an idea to film a trailer for the ultimate creature feature.
Yeah.
Copyright 2020 Tuesday Night Cigar Club. It was called Pigeons 2 White Rain, and don't even think about using that. Copyright 2020 Tuesday Night Cigar Club.
No, I just stuck the wrong end of the cigar in my mouth.
That tracks. But yeah, there was no Pigeons 1 movie, but we just thought Pigeons 2 White Rain sounded much better. The white rain being the toxic waste shooting out of their asses. But the doctor was going to play the college, university, local junior college doctor who they bring these pigeons into to get some results from.
My God.
His lab assistant was going to be played by Married with Children's David Faustino. We had the whole thing mapped out.
Nice.
It was going to be basically what it was. There was a local minor league farm baseball team in town, and the guys were shooting steroids, and they dumped their dirty syringes. This is back in the Barry Bonds era when we had this idea, and the pigeons licked the syringes that the baseball players ditched, so they became these huge steroid-infested pigeons. And oh man, it was so good. But to your point, Tut, it was the local, scholarly professor who found out what was going on, and God, that would have been a great trailer. And we still might do that someday. So don't even think about copying us.
Please tell me you cast Fritz as the baseball coach.
No, but he did have a role. I don't want to give away what it was, but Let's just say he was wearing a cheerleader varsity jacket and nothing else. And he drove
They say equal time, my friends, equal time.
And he drove a muscle car. Well, just then we cut to Ashton Farms out on the city limits, where an army of slugs has overtaken a barn full of lettuce. I bet that's where drunk wife bought her lettuce from.
She was just trying to be organic and buying local. And
yeah, buying local.
Gotcha.
Here's where it got her dead husband. And as we arrive, the poor old lettuce farmer's chest. He's in the barn with his lettuce. He's been devoured by slugs, and his chest explodes in a fountain of blood. Oh my God, these little fuckers are relentless.
Slugs.
The practical effect team is relentless.
Yeah, they're having fun. You know who else is relentless, fellas?
Who's that?
Yeah.
That's right, Tut. Our good friends over at Drew Estate. They're relentless in that nobody in the industry pumps out innovative new products like they do. And there's no better example of that than the Pappy Van Winkle Family Reserve Barrel Fermented Cigar. The Pappy Van Winkle Family Reserve Barrel Fermented is a long filler premium cigar rolled in limited quantities at La Gran Fabrica Drew Estate in Esteli, Nicaragua. Deep barrel fermentation is the key process that makes this expression vastly different from anything else on the market. Hand-selected leaves from Kentucky are packed into small torquettes, or bundles of tobacco, for those of you who don't know what a torquette is, which are then loaded strategically into oak bourbon barrels. Water is then added while immense pressure is applied to the torquettes via railroad jacks. Huge fucking railroad jacks. Not Wolfgang jacks like you were talking about earlier. Not little puny car jacks. Not jumping jacks. Not Applejack cereal. Not Jack Tripper from Three's Company. Railroad tracks. Jacks. The tobacco is removed 2-3 times per year, shaken out by some men that we've seen in action. These are real men, not like us.
Men is the right word.
Yeah, these not like us putzes. These guys are real men that shake this shit out, pack it back in there.
I'd give 2 pulls on that railroad jack, and I'd be like, I'm done. Is this enough?
Mark Ryan's kicking you to the curb before you know it. The total process of fermentation takes 12 to 18 months. Do you realize how many hermaphroditic slugs could reproduce in 12 to 18 months?
My God, the amount of slugs is unimaginable.
It's unimaginable, Todd. But these guys have that patience to give this tobacco the time it needs to give it a truly unique flavor profile and aroma. The Pappy Van Winkle's Family Reserve Barrel Fermented is now available at brick-and-mortar Drew Diplomat retailers everywhere. And if you'd like to smoke the unique pig-sized Vitola of the Pappy, head over to Pappyco, PAPPYCO.com, as that's the only place you'll find it. And while you're there, you get some really cool Pappy Van Winkle shirts, hats. The Pappy Van Winkle sisters have really blown up this site. It's got some really cool stuff. If you're a golfer, my God, golf shirts, golf's everything. Like, be a badass out on the golf course and wear your Pappy. Represent.
I'm sorry, I kind of zoned out when you mentioned the Pappy twins.
They are awesome, and they were very nice to us.
They were very, very nice to us.
And it's really cool seeing, chicks our age embrace their family's history and kind of take it to the new, the bourbon history is just so kind of entrenched in that lore and that world, and to have kind of the Pappy twins kind of bring it out not only into cigar culture, which is, I'm assuming mainly their idea, but also, kind of branch it out like, we have a brand here that means something, and let's share it and let's advertise it and let's do it. And like, they're just kind of living the dream, and they're really cool chicks on top of that. Really cool ladies on top of that. So, go to pappygo.com and buy a bunch of shit. Do it. And tell them the TNCC sent you.
And then if they mention the restraining order, that is fake news.
She's like, oh, God, the Jim Morrison of cigar podcasting sent you over here? Well, okay. Let's take 10% off that order. All right.
All right.
Well, Mike Brady's secretary, he gets back to his office. She tells him that his wife, Kim, has been trying like hell to get a hold of him. I love this kind of stuff from it's a weird sidetrack, but I love like when a guy goes into his office, like, your wife's been trying to get a hold of you for no cell phones.
No cell phones. Yeah.
1988, like you walk in your, like, your wife's been trying to get a hold of you for 3 hours. Oh, dude, no cell phones. I love that when that was a thing. Not that I don't like being able to be tracked down by my wife.
Yeah, 88. I'm not even sure beepers were that well widespread yet.
No, only doctors, I think, and drug dealers at that point.
Doctors and drug dealers.
I got my first beeper in 94. I had it for a couple of years, but even then I was getting kind of sideways stares when I was wearing that thing.
I remember a high school friend of mine had a beeper, and he was not a drug dealer, but my mom swore up and down she did not like me hanging out with that drug dealer.
No, like that's yeah. I got a lot of, but you know what? I was a mover and shaker. I need to have that.
Need to carry it around just in case that 911 scrolled across the screen.
Got that often. Mainly from my mom. I had to get home for something. I had to get home for dinner. Well, he races his station wagon home, and when he gets there, a distraught Kim, she can barely talk. She's so upset. She points to the kitchen where slug after slug are oozing out of the kitchen faucet. Mike starts bashing the little monsters with a frying pan. That's why I don't understand the guy when it was in his glove, he was smashing it right and left. He's killing these things right and left with the frying pan in his sink. But that's just a temporary solution, the frying pan. Am I right, Yax?
Very true.
My God, you need a frying pan the size of Pittsburgh to kill all these things.
Why couldn't they just toss some salt on it?
They're not snails. Salt is the enemy of snails.
Kill slugs as well, but apparently these mutated slugs are
they're mutated.
salt.
Forgot that.
Yeah, toxic waste, Tut. Keep up.
Okay, all right.
Yeah. Mike calls Sheriff Reese's office and tells him to get his...
I gotta text my wife to clean up the salt that I put out in front of the garage.
You're terrified of snails or slugs now, aren't you?
Well, I told you my Star Trek story before.
That tracks. Mike
I wake up, Cody's in there with the Ricardo Montalban wig and the con get up.
He's got the con mullet?
Yeah, with the little snails in a jar. Fuck that. No.
Dude, Mike, at this point, he's not playing nice anymore. He calls Sheriff Reese's office, tells him, get your fat ass over to Frank Phillips' office immediately and meet me there.
That's a good way to get someone to persuasively tell someone to do something.
How to make friends and influence people. Get your fat ass over there. And the guy's not even fat. Kim tells Mike she feels like she's losing her mind with all these slugs, but he tells her, hey, just stay put here where the slugs are and stay away from them. I'll be back sometime. That's not.
I'll be fine.
That's not comforting, is it, Tut?
No, and actually, I'm like, if your theory is that there's like toxic waste dump over here in these neighborhoods that have caused these slugs to mutate, and then mutate is infesting these neighborhoods and spreading throughout the town. Hey, honey, I'm going to need you to go 2 towns over for a little bit, stay the night over there for a while.
He doesn't say that. He says stay put in the house where you're freaking out and losing your mind.
Where
Get
I
in
just
your
killed
car
three
and drive
giant slugs.
any direction but here.
Yeah, he doesn't say that. Mike Brady then races over to Frank Phillips' office over at the Ashton Water Supply. He demands that the no-nonsense Phillips shuts off the water to the south end of town right away. But Phillips ain't playing ball at all. At all. This Phillips dude is where the bad dialogue dubbing is really obvious. Every time first of all, he looks kind of like a poor man's Leslie Nielsen.
Oh, and it sounds like him too.
But then when he opens his voice, it's this clearly dubbed thing. Mutated slugs? Contaminated water system? What the hell are you talking about? There's no time to argue, Mike pleads. Who's arguing? I'm saying that you're nuts. Phillips kicks Brady's ass out of his office. Without authorization from the mayor, he ain't doing jack shit but continue eating his sandwich. Once Mike's gone, mutated slugs? That's one crazy asshole.
Ha ha ha.
Ha ha ha. But behind Phillips in his private bathroom, we see the toilet seat shaking. I'm guessing there's some slugs coming his way. He's gonna eat those words.
No, his words are gonna eat him. Ha ha ha.
Ha ha ha. Mike Brady then squeals his station wagon. Every time I type that sentence, I laughed out loud. Like, dude, you have to give him a station wagon and call him Mike Brady. He squeals it over to the mayor's office. The mayor is trying to seal the shopping center deal. Now that Dave died during the signing of the contracts, the mayor's taking over with the Calgore Corporation folks over some drinks in his office. The Calgore lady just can't get over seeing a dozen worms shooting out of Dave Watson's face. But her business partner tells her to get over it already. Have another drink. Have another cocktail. Let's sign the damn contracts. But just then Mike barges in the office and tells the mayor they have a potential disaster on their hands. Potential disaster? The Calgore mayor, the woman says. Okay. Dude, what they saw in Tramboni's restaurant was one thing. Now this guy, the health inspector, barges in and says, we've got something crazy's going on here. Mike tells the mayor his theory on the slugs overtaking the city, and the mayor tries to calm him down. Sure, Mike, we'll do whatever you say. Don't patronize me. I'm not insane. No, nobody said you were insane, the mayor says, while giving his secretary the he's insane called the sheriff look. Put down that phone, insane Mike Brady barks at the secretary. Then Brady makes his way over to the Calgore executives and tells them that the town was built on a toxic waste dump, and as a result, they now have a mutant strain of killer slug that's killing everybody. You mean to tell me that if I turn on the water tap, a killer slug is going to fly out and kill me, the Calgore rep says. Dude, that guy looked just like the dad from Happy Days, didn't he?
I thought so too. From the straight up profile, I thought it was Howard from Happy Days.
I thought it was the dad from Happy Days. So the mayor takes them all to his private bathroom, which is hidden behind a Batman bookcase. Dude, he pushes on this bookcase, and it opens up to this private. What the fuck mayor has that?
I don't know, but I want that job.
Apparently that mayor does, and it makes no sense.
Yak boy, why don't I have that bathroom here in the corner of No Hope? Nope. No bathroom. Nothing.
We'll add that on later.
So the mayor takes them in there. They turn on the sink, and guess what? No slugs come out of the sink. So they sign the papers. You people are unbelievable, Mike sighs as he hightails it out of there. God, I got one of those. Dude, the water supply guy had a personal bathroom. This guy has a hidden bathroom. That's the sign of success. That's baller as shit.
Personal bathroom.
I won't be happy till I have one. Oh, and speaking of Mr. Phillips over at the water supply department, he isn't going to be any use to Mike or anybody else, because when his secretary returns from her lunch break, she finds him in the bathroom covered with slugs. He's toast. I'm going to quickly refill. I'm going to switch to the. I did the Coupe DNR. I'm going to switch to the Coupe F5 IPA, something way more in my wheelhouse. Tut.
Mm-hmm.
What are you smoking, Yax? Did you fire up a second cigar?
I did just the Drew Estate, the acid, the Cuba Arte.
Oh, nice choice.
I hadn't.
My favorite acid, by the way.
Okay.
I kind of said it like that Austin Powers song. My favorite acid, by the way. Yeah, those are good, huh?
Yes, very.
It's a very subtle acid experience.
This first one I had, I'd been sitting on them, and I'm like, you know what? Just need to go ahead and do it.
Okay. Well, I'm going to check back with you on it later. Let's give the acid a little bit of love. Back at the high school, Professor John is showing Mike what he's concocted to deal with their slug problem. It's a lithium-based arsenic solution that's highly combustible when it comes in contact with moisture. Tut, does that track with what you've recently learned in your one science class?
Oh man, to be honest, I think I need to take biology 102 to get up to this level.
Okay. Well, from what I get, this shit can wipe out these slimy fuckers.
Yeah,
Is that scientific talk?
I think so. Yes.
Can we use this stuff in the sewers without blowing up the whole town? Mike asked the scientist. Well, I certainly hope so. Well, it's worth a try then, Mike says. He tells the professor to make a bunch of this shit and meet him down at the sanitation department in 3 hours. Mike heads over to Don Palmer's house where he's playing football in the front yard with his sons. And he tells him,
Uh-oh.
I'm going to need your help going down the sewers to kill the slugs.
Uh-oh.
Let me get this straight, the sanitation department manager says. You want to take something that explodes when it comes in contact with water down into my sewers? Yes, that's right, Mike says. Let's get started, partner.
Man, I like his loyalty. I like his gumption. But
you guys could learn something. That's a friend. Ride or die. That is a friend.
Well, you got part of that right.
Well, I still have a problem. If you go back to the beginning, he was down there. He lost his giant metal hook to something. He ran away and forgot about it.
He could have called the State Department, and then
Just
they
grilled
would have
some
came
hot
in here.
dogs. We're throwing the football out in the front yard. But I'm going to ignore the fact that I lost a giant metal hook. Something in the
pulled
sewers.
it away from me.
Yeah, and that's why he agrees to go with Mike and deal with this shit. He's a true friend.
They should have brought in the State Department, the Health Department, and the state sewer guys.
You're going to call... Is there a state sewer guy? Like...
You know there is. You know there is.
I know you don't...
In a Matt Acade production, there would definitely be a state sewer guy.
I never thought I would have to make this call, but here we are. My metal hook got sucked in at old Fortune Florence's house. I need the big boys here.
Bring in the clinger. Get me Dig Dug.
Don't bring Dig Dug into this. Don has a wife and kids too, he says. I don't want them to die like the others have, so I got no choice. I got to ride with you on this one, Mike. I love that loyalty from... Dude, they're not even real friends. At the nightclub at the beginning of the film, Don asked Mike and Kim to stick around so he could buy Mike a drink, and Mike said no. I got to get out of here.
Mike's a douche, and we'll learn that in a little bit.
That's stupid. Anytime you're at a club and a friend shows up and is like, I want to buy you drinks. All right.
Mike's not really a friend.
Let's sit down. You're going to regret that statement.
Yeah, really.
I thought we were leaving. Why are we going back, Matt? That dude just said he's buying me drinks. Get ready. Dawn tells his wife, she's like, are you going to be here for dinner? I don't do a French accent. She's like, are you going to be here for dinner with the boys? And he says, no, I'm going to go kill some man-eating slugs. But when I get back, we can get naked and act crazy. And the French woman says, that'll be fine. That was weird. It was weird that he was like 20 years younger than her, right?
What's weird about that? He found himself a sugar mama, and there you go.
Eh?
Okay.
You don't know what the sex was like between them. It could have been dynamite.
Well, when he
Passion.
said that, like, I'm going to go kill some killer slugs, and then we're going to go back and get naked and crazy. And she was like, well, all right. I was like, okay, it must be.
Oui.
Oui. We now get treated to a sweet-ass montage of Don and Mike suiting up in their hazmat sewer suits as Professor John mixes up a big barrel of the arsenic solution by pouring, oh my God, dude, the world's most enormous graduated cylinders of chemicals into a big-ass drum. I had to ask my nerd wife. I was like, I sent her a screenshot of that cylinder. I was like, is that an Erlenmeyer flask? She's like, I actually got it from the text, her sigh of disappointment in me. She's the brains in the operation. She's like, that's a graduated cylinder. But dude, it was like this big. And for some reason, this little high school has all the chemicals he needs to kill all these
I was
slugs.
going to say, this is like the most well-equipped high school science lab I've ever seen. He's over there with microscopes, running things.
With the microscopes, but my God, he fills a whole barrel full of this slug-killing serum with these giant... First of all, why the hell does a high school biology class need a graduated cylinder 3 feet high?
Oh, they need it.
Well, also, how do they have that much lithium and arsenic to mix together? Here's a solution. If you mix these two chemicals together, they just destroy. Well, of course, slugs. But still, it begs the question. I mean, if he was going into like some giant warehouse of chemicals to mix a barrel of this stuff.
Well, have I mentioned yet, boys, that it's Halloween? Yes, this is a Halloween film.
Could not tell it from anything else other than in the film.
Didn't see that coming. It sure as shit is. It's October 31st in Ashland. So, of course, the local high school kids are gathering out in the field to party and dance their collective asses off. Like they literally, I guess Texas is a lot cooler than New York because in New York, the kids just go out in the field and dance like idiots. Because Bobby wasn't there to show them how cool kids act.
No, that's called a pipeline party.
A pipeline party?
Pipeline party. So back in the woods,
Does this have to be hermaphrodites?
way back in the woods. So you had like the gas pipeline company or something would cut these big long lines through the forest, and you would take your four-wheelers and your four-wheel drives and you would drive down these pipeline runs and find a clear spot way back in the woods where the sheriff ain't going to bug you and the police ain't going to bug you. And then you get a whole bunch of kegs and you get a whole bunch of trash cans and you mix your trash can punches and your kegs out there and you have a party.
Yeah, because we called them land parties.
Land parties.
Pipeline runs.
And we literally just drove a mile out of town and just in an empty field and just drank.
Well, see, we had to get a little smarter in ours.
It wasn't as sexy as what you described, Todd, but I think all kids know how to just go to somewhere where there's no cops and drink booze.
There you go. They're going to dance their ass off.
But we sure as hell didn't do this. The hell was that dancing? Slugs.
Maybe that's why I had such a hard time in high school. I was totally doing that on the pipeline runs.
You're like, guys, listen. The company's barreling these pipeline lines in here. We are the only kids on earth that had this avenue to party. Meanwhile, every other kid in America is partying the goddamn same way. Yeah. It should be mentioned that the only thing that signifies Halloween in this movie is that there's one lone jack-o'-lantern at the land party. They just stuck a pumpkin in the middle of the field. It's Halloween now. Okay.
Halloween.
But hey, this is our Halloween episode, boys. It tracks. Nobody's wearing costumes. Nobody's talking about Halloween. That's pretty much it. That chick from the diner is still blaming the goddamn goat killer for Bobby and Donna's death. Hey, now we know her name. The chick that died with Bobby is Donna. That was her name. Not that it matters. And everything else that's going around town, it's the goat man, I tell you. It's the goat man. But the drunk dude she's hanging out with tell her, just forget about the goddamn goat killer. Forget about dead Bobby. Drink another wine cooler, you dumb bitch.
Bartles and James, baby.
Hey,
That's
it
great.
was the time. Were you guys Bartles and James or Seagram's boys?
Man, it was anything the girls wanted. We were all whatever kind of beer that we had, but if the girls wanted Seagrams, we got Seagrams. If the girls wanted Bartles and James, we
Yeah, it
got
was kind of
Bartles.
whatever the hell you get your hands on.
Yeah.
Boone's Farms.
Boone's Farm. Get some Strawberry Hill going.
That worked too. For what I hear, I didn't provide alcohol to minors, so I.
Get a little bit of Thunderbird if you had it. It's not bad.
That was
and
college.
know there was some Mad
Oh,
Dog.
man. The doctor and I used to sneak a bottle of Thunderbird up to his bedroom, and when we lived with his parents in college, dude, we'd put it in our waistband. Each had a bottle of Thunderbird, and we'd suck in we'd walk into his house, say hi to his parents with this bottle of Thunderbird in our waistband. We'd go up there, just fucking drink that shit. Which was just pure horse piss.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Not good.
No, it wasn't. It was like with the people
Not
that
good.
the people that made
Did the
Thunder,
job.
the people that made at least the people that made Strawberry Hill made something that chicks would drink. The people that made Thunderbird or another one of our favorites, Richard's Red Wine. I would like to talk to the master blenders or the master distillers from Thunderbird. Did you ever think about making a drink that was actually like you didn't have to hold your nose when you fucking drank it? Like,
We know that Master Blender is going to look like that Popeye corner out there.
yeah, he totally would. He totally would. Well, as Mike and Don descend down the sewer after giving Professor John his marching orders as far as what manhole cover in town to pour the poison down into when he gets their signal, a teenage girl named Pam is being sexually assaulted by a guy in a Halloween mask back at the land party. And when she runs off, she has no choice but to jump down into a sewer outlet in an effort to hide from her attacker. But of course, she was going to get it bad on ground. She gets it much worse down there. She's immediately consumed by mutant slugs. I thought this whole brief storyline about the kids out in the field and stuff was half-baked
Necessary.
and unnecessary at best. Like, it was just, let's throw in a Halloween side thing. It made no sense.
Yeah, it wasn't fleshed out at all, so it really didn't make any sense into the timeline. So just scrap it.
Yeah, no, I guess to make the running time, maybe they kind of did this, but it made no, bringing these kids into it and especially the rape thing, it was stupid. As Mike and Don are trying to navigate their way to the hub of slug activity in the sewers, again, I have to say this setting looks phenomenal. Even if the sewer system starts to resemble some old like underground caverns as opposed to a man-made series of tunnels. Dude, at some point it looks like they're like in like stalactites and like, but it still looks amazing. Professor John reaches his destination. I'm at the manhole, baby. I'll open it up right now. But the puny nerd can't pry the damn manhole cover off as he tries fruitlessly. He's got this pickaxe and he's trying to get the manhole cover off. He just can't do it. And as he tries, Sheriff Reese shows up with that usual disapproving scowl.
Come on, Sheriff.
It's becoming clear and clear that Mike and Don don't know what the fuck they're doing down the sewers. They're getting lost. Don's maps are antiquated at best. They're running into like, oh, The maps don't say there's a brick wall here. Like, they don't know what the hell they're doing. Mike tosses a big hefty bag full of raw meat into the water to distract the slugs so they can escape. But when Don pries a sewer panel loose, this is how we'll get to safety, he says. Water bursts through it instead. This is the guy that's supposed to be an expert on the sewers, sending poor sanitation manager Don straight into the bubbling mass of shit water and bloodthirsty slugs. Mike climbs above him on a sewer pipe in a wholehearted attempt to save his kind of friend, but it's of no use. Don is slug food. But dude, that scene of Don down in that cauldron of water and Mike on the pipeline above, that's kind of good production. I mean, it looks good.
Well, the fact that they're using miniatures.
I don't think they were. I think they actually built this set and made this kind of sewer kind of epicenter there with the bubbling water and stuff.
Oh, no. I mean, but when they show like him in the water, that's like a miniature. Go back and look at it.
Oh, you mean when they show him like fall down into the water?
Right.
Yeah, when they show his body as the slugs pick apart at him and it goes down in the water. Yeah, I think that is like a doll.
Yes.
Yeah. No, I agree there. But the actual bubbling of the water and Don reaching up and Mike climbing on that pipe above him trying to save his friend, I mean, that shit looks good. It looks really good.
It does, and that's why I said I was surprised about this movie. I mean, it had production value.
It does. It's an impressive action set piece, and we don't see shit like that in modern independent horror films at all.
No.
That was one of the really cool things about the late 80s. They had to step it up, and I appreciated it. Don Palmer, now that he's rest in peace, was a damn fine public servant. I wanted to see him go home and do crazy sex stuff with his much older French wife, but we'll never get to see that.
Exactly. I was disappointed he wasn't going to get to go home and get naked with his wife.
Not that she was much to look at, but still. They seem to like each other, and that's all that matters. As Don's deflated, slug-infested face rises up from the bubbling sewer water below, Mike, oh, hey, here's a ladder that will get me to safety. Where was that? Slugs. He climbs the ladder and gets the hell out of there. Mike arises at the surface where Professor John is waiting with a truckload of slug-destroying serum, and he orders the nerd to put the hose down in there and kill them all. Put it in the manhole. Do it now, he screams.
Big ass titties. Click, click.
And to his credit, Sheriff Reese just stands there. He doesn't get in the way. And they do what they do. Fire races through the Ashton sewer system, burning all the slugs and also exploding 4 businesses, by my count, shooting giant balls of flames out of every manhole in town, blowing up cars, so many cars I lost count, and even raining fire down on the dancing teenagers out in the field. There's a manhole out the cornfield they're partying at. It blows up out there and kills a couple kids. So much like we saw with Mike Brody in Jaws 3D back on episode 119, here Mike Brady causes way more destruction and injuries than the slugs ever did.
Well, sometimes
but
the
they're
solution is worse than the problem.
Kill them with fire. It's the only way to be sure.
I'm sorry about your friend, Brady, Sheriff Reese says in a rare moment of not being a total dickhead.
Thanks, Sheriff.
You, Sheriff, you can go to hell. Mike shoots back. Mike, Don knew the chances, Professor John says. I could have kept him out of this, Mike weeps. No, I don't think you could. He knew that, says the Spanish Englishman who had never met Don before this night. He didn't know it. He didn't know this guy at all. And he's like,
it's a small town. It's a small town. They ran in. They didn't show it, but they ran into each other at Tromboli's.
I'm sure Don's kids were also Professor John's students.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's a small comfort to Mike, but he'll take it as he has a sexy wife to get home to, unlike Don. But turns out he doesn't need to go home to get some action. as Kim suddenly arrives on the scene and they start tongue kissing just as the fire trucks and paramedics all arrive to try and sort out this gigantic mess that he created, to a very inappropriate, cheesy, and cheerful, easy listening music score. Oh my God, the music here was so inappropriate. It was
To
terrible.
the music.
But then the music takes a sinister turn. Yax. The music takes a sinister turn as we cut to a lone slug still alive as it slithers on a sewer grate. Not to mention all the very much alive slugs still hanging out at Mike's house and everywhere else in town. They only killed the sewer slugs. There's still a million of them around.
Just
The end.
asexually procreating, and there you go.
The end. Question.
By the
mark.
way, had that been an American director, Mike Brady would have punched out the sheriff there at the end.
I'm sorry about your friend. Fuck you.
Boom. Yeah.
By Crocky Mike, I think that might have been an extreme reaction there. That was what Professor Jones would say.
Yes. That's exactly what he would say.
That's the end of our film, boys.
The end. All right.
They really needed a closing song.
A Slugs song.
Right now. Hey, there's no tomorrow.
Well, something more appropriate for we fight for slugs or something. Come on.
We fight for
We
slugs.
fight for slugs.
No slime. No way.
I'm on board with that, actually.
Yeah, that would have been nice. But an American wasn't making this movie, Yax.
Oh,
Hey, if I get elected, every slug movie made will be made by an American. That's my platform.
and
That was
also
good.
the completion
About
of
as good as what I've heard.
Everybody else is acting crazy. Why shouldn't I? Look, like I said, no March to Halloween is complete without a creature feature. I thought this was fuck shark movies, fuck alligator movies, fuck slugs.
slugs.
And this thing had a lot going for it. It was a fun movie.
Yeah.
It had drunk wife.
It did
And
have-
drunk wife.
We can all agree we like drunk wife.
It
Okay.
had drunk wife. It had a 20-year-old tut doppelganger with a porn stash. It had
You got a freeze frame to catch him though. He comes and goes very quick.
the whatever, the high school guy who reminded me of my 20s. I mean, there's a lot to not like about this movie, but there's enough to like about it that makes it charming.
I thought it was charming, and I actually thought that it captured the 1988. It's weird that it took a Spanish director, maybe shooting the high school scenes in Spain. But dude, I love when they showed the kids like the brown paper book covers on their textbooks, like, and the way they were dressed. I thought the look of the kids really.
Like I said, there was a lot of
Yeah.
things that made me question whether this is a foreign
Yeah, no,
thing,
the way-
because the look was very American.
The way the kids, especially the teenagers and their school stuff and everything, it just, man, it reeked of late 80s. I mean, I really, man, I was on board 100%. And I like, well, I mean, has anybody else ever made a movie about killer slugs?
No.
I guess no.
You get points for me when you do shit nobody else has ever done. Which, by the way, is the Tuesday Night Cigar Club. Nobody else has ever done a podcast where we talk about cigars, movies, and beers. Originators, boys, originators, and we can appreciate fellow originators like J.P. Simon and his movie Slugs, and Pete Johnson and his wonderful cigar night, the Tatuaje Black. We really dug it.
It was good.
We did.
I'm a big fan of Coop Ale Works. That, god damn, that DNR has a gazillion flavors going on, but spacing it out with the cigar, we got through it. I think I got the full cigar's potential despite the beer. Now that I switched to the IPA, their F5 is one of my favorite IPAs. Big thumbs up to Coupe Ale Works. They're one of the few good things that come out of Oklahoma since Chuck Norris. Cody, Murphy's, you've said everything you need to say. It's wonderful. It's delicious. It's creamy. It's perfect, one might say.
Close to it.
And Tut, your beer.
Man, after the third time around, I'm just going to go ahead and say it. There's better Oktoberfest beers out there.
We'll see how it plays out next year.
We totally will.
Do you think next year at Oktoberfest we'll be sitting at the table all together again? Do you think a vaccine's going to happen? Do you think we're going to be able to congregate? Do you think?
I do.
I do. Yeah, give it a year. I think that it'll change. I think that there's something's on the horizon. Yeah.
Something to look forward to. I do too. I'm sure not taking the vaccine in the next couple months, but I will definitely take one before next Oktoberfest if, much like Professor John, the scientists tell me it's okay to do. Listen to scientists, boys. Listen to scientists. Thank you for joining us. I don't know if there'll be another Halloween episode. We might do one next week. We might try to squeak one in there. We'll see how it plays out. There's a lot of moving parts to this thing called the Tuesday Night Cigar Club. But if not, I think we ended on a good one. Slugs. You guys are a couple slugs.
I will be tomorrow morning.
I will definitely be sluggish tomorrow morning. But Tut, give us some links.
All right. So if you want to join us on Twitter, you can hit us up at TNCC Cast. If you want to follow us on Instagram, you can see all of our wonderful pictures and stories and see all the lively, fun merrymaking that's going on there. It's TNCC_podcast. You can naturally join us up and follow us on Facebook, Tuesday Night Cigar Club. Or if you're very, very wise, you can subscribe to us at YouTube, Tuesday Night Cigar Club, and you can see all of this wonderful mayhem. And then, you know what? If you're going to buy some of those delicious Pete Johnson Tatuaje Black cigars, you can go to TuesdayNightCigarClub.com, click on the Amazon banner. Click on the Famous Smoke Shop banner. It will automatically introduce or input that wonderful code TNCC20 for you. You'll get $20 off that purchase, which is fantastic. Or if you want to buy any other cigars, do it from there and you'll get $20 off of a purchase of $100 or more. And if you wanted to buy something, it's Prime Day right now. By the time you see this, it won't be Prime Day. But if you want to buy something off of Amazon, go to TuesdayNightCigarClub.com, click on the Amazon banner, do your shopping from there, and help us keep the lights on.
Help us, please. Because as time has told over the last 5 years, we sure as shit can't help ourselves. We tend to say crazy things and we tend to run our mouths a lot, and more often than not we skate through it, but eventually one of these days it's going to get us into some trouble, and I welcome that trouble.
Well, I would like to say that we would be more productive and more industrious, but unfortunately we have a bit of money, so we all have home bars, and there's pretty nicely stocked. We're not going anywhere. We're not doing anything. We're sitting at the home bar. I
think that's the case. It's like, boy, these guys could really elevate this thing to they could really do something amazing here if they got kind of desperate and out of money to where they had to sober up and as long as we're comfortable with a fridge full of beer and some whiskey, we're not gonna really. Yeah,
but then our hipster watchers would be like, oh yeah, they were so much better when they weren't sober. Once they sobered up, the whole project
once TNCC sobered up, that's where the whole shithouse went up in flames. That's when TNCC Hagar took over.
Run now!
It's not tomorrow. Nothing wrong with Van Hagar, by the way. Well, I'm glad.
By the way, Sammy, I have come around. I am fully on team Sammy Hagar. I like you, bud.
one of my inspirations for the podcast, and one of my I'll say inspirations, Howard Stern. He's had Sammy Hagar on the show many times, and Sammy is always a good interview and always seems like a really fucking laid back, centered dude. And even when considering how things played out with Van Halen, he was always kind of even keel about it and played it well and didn't shit on what they did and what maybe they could do in the future. So I give Sammy, and he brought Michael Anthony, the bass player, on there a lot of times. And Michael Anthony, dude, Michael Anthony, I've always equated Yak Boy to the Michael Anthony of the TNCC. He is the heart and soul. He's the guy coming in with the perfect chorus. He's the guy coming in with that filler bass line when you don't know you need it, but God, it would be, if you didn't have it, everything would fall apart.
All I know is every time I see Cody strapped with that Jack Daniels bass flying across the screen on the suspension cords, it's beautiful.
So I think we've expressed the best we can, given how much we drink, how much Van Halen influenced our lives in one way or another. And I think we also have represented the march to Halloween well tonight. So good job, boys. In the meantime, it is early voting. Get your ass out there. If you don't want to fight the lines in November, there's no excuse. You can get your ass out there at some point in the next couple of weeks to vote. And we strongly encourage you to do so. Why you would listen to us is beyond my comprehension, because we're basically drunk wife on steroids. I really don't encourage you to follow any of our advice, but
follow this advice.
Follow this advice. Show up
Party.
Before you open your noontime bottle of wine. Stumble over to the local church and place your vote.
Have a moment of sobriety. You don't want to get tanked up and then go hit the wrong button on your little touch.
Oh, that would be wrong.
Just suffer it out a little bit, dry up a little bit.
Drop your kids off at school, drink some wine, then take a nap, and then go vote, and then drink some more wine.
TNCC style.
I'm a professional, folks. I know what I'm talking about. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. In the meantime, as is more important than ever, listen to my words that I'm about to say out of my mouth hole. May the wings of liberty never lose a feather.
Yeah.
Sayonara, motherfuckers. We will see you either in 2 weeks or soon after. We got some great shows before the end of the year. We're not done yet. God damn, Todd is jigging his. Look at him dancing his fucking. It's like he's in the middle of a field with some teenagers and a pumpkin and a pipeline. I don't know what that was about, but we'll get to that after the show ends. Sayonara, motherfuckers. We'll see you next time. Be good.
Learn more about the time my unusually aggressive trouser slug broke free of its containment cell, an extremely well-worn pair of Bugle Boy slacks, that is. Well, let's just say that I was eventually able to wrestle him back under control, but sadly I'll never be allowed back to a Bob Evans restaurant ever again. And honestly, that sucks, because both me and my trouser slug love us some biscuits and gravy. What? Yes, what the fuck do you feed your trouser slugs? Slug food? What a bunch of amateurs. Treat him right, and he'll treat you right, fellas. Anywho, to learn more about the cigars enjoyed on tonight's episode, you can visit www.tatuajecigars.com. Tatuaje is spelled exactly the way you would think it would be. For more on O'Brien's Irish Pub, the live music leader in Central Texas, please visit o'brienstemple.com and download their free smartphone app, where you'll find full beer listings including over 40 on tap, menu information, and a calendar of upcoming live events. To listen and purchase music heard on tonight's program, check out www.fritzbeermusic.com. Thank you for listening to the Tuesday Night Cigar Club podcast. This is Keith A. Howell saying until next time, friends, unless we see you sooner at the pub. So keep it smoky, and for God's sake, keep it ballsy as well.
Get up, go to work, get drunk, go to sleep. I get up, go to work, get drunk, go to sleep.